cheap education, a fair legal process.
According to the survey, 63% of all Americans want their summers to be hot but not too hot. 85% want the government to stop all wars, end world hunger, and make quick and easy weight loss possible. 93% want to be emotionally satisfied, plus a soulmate, unconditional love from their parents, and a big happy dog.
This is the Onion News Network.
Hey, there we are. That one was my bad. Hey, with you tonight, it's Free Talk Live. We're here in the studio. You can take control of the airwaves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Joining you in the studio, you do have me, Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
All right, stuff to talk about tonight. We got it, of course. There's a lot, actually. We got some really interesting tech news. Chris, you and I both had the same story tonight, the Pornhub news. Also, if we get the chance, we'll talk about Twitch and a copyright crackdown, potential copyright crackdown there. But I want to start the show out with an update on what I titled the show last night, but we actually ended up not talking about until the very final segment.
Of course.
Because we spent 2 hours. Yeah, because we spent 2 hours talking about Mark's trip back from overseas and how he got his devices searched or attempted to be searched. They searched his phone, but his laptop was dead, so they just let him slide on that one. But we spent about 2 hours just discussing sort of the legalities.
Always have a dead battery in your laptop. Note to self.
Well, they let him slip on that one, but they probably could have just confiscated the laptop and then taken their sweet time with it.
There was an update to that.
True.
Really?
Yeah. That
to Mark's story?
No. There's just you know what? There's an update this week about how. Did you guys cover this other day on the show about how
we talked to a great extent yesterday about the decision that was made in November of 2019? What's the latest?
I thought there was an update where they can't search the devices unless they have
reasonable suspicion.
Yeah, reasonable suspicion.
Not probable cause, reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
And supposedly that's only for the forensic search, not for the manual one.
Yeah. And reasonable suspicion isn't a standard to speak of.
Yeah.
That's the standard they need in order to do a Terry stop, and it's a very weak standard.
Right. So it's not saying a whole lot, but yeah, that was the district. I think it was a federal district court ruling from 2019. Anyway, we talked in great detail about that. It was like the first 2 hours of the show last night. But what I started out, or what I titled the show last night, was about what Rush Limbaugh was doing. Now, normally, talk show hosts they copy Rush Limbaugh. In this case, Rush Limbaugh is copying Free Talk Live, or at least he appeared to be.
Wow, has he seen the light?
Well, that's the way it looked.
Or felt the heat?
That's the way it looked for a moment. But now, apparently, he's walked back his comments today. So yesterday...
There is no rush to courage.
No, unfortunately not. Even though he is basically on death's door, he does have lung cancer, and it's terminal, so he will not be around.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
He will not be around for much longer. How much longer, we don't know. I mean, look, I don't know whether the guy's nice or not. I've never really met him, but...
I know that he wants people put in prison for things he does. That's
probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. He got arrested on a drug charge.
Oh, the oxycodones or whatever, right?
Yeah, but he still wants the commoners put in prison for it.
Oh, yeah. For him, it's just a personal problem, but for everybody else, go to prison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless they're white, maybe.
So yesterday, he said on his program, quote, "I've seen quite a few people allude to this over recent months, maybe over the course of 6 months. I said I think we could be trending towards secession. I said I see more and more people asking, what in the world do we have in common with people who disagree with us? Like people in New York, for instance." He gave that example. This was
like me.
This was on his Wednesday show. The question that was asked of him was, quote, "Are we ever going to be able to win again?" And the question is in regards to the Republicans, right? So the people that he sort of represents and that he talks about. And that was when he talked about secession. As he said, he thinks it could be trending towards secession. Now, today on his show, or maybe it was yesterday, but anyway, the next day, he walked back the comments. He said, let's see, quote, he said he wasn't advocating for the idea, but it was
Nobody is advocating for secession here.
but was noting it had been widely popularized by others, saying, quote, I don't know how many people, responsible people, I haven't named any names here, but they are certainly not hiding behind their comments. I've seen it written on Twitter. I've seen it written on various blogs, Hot Air, Powerline, how distant and separated, how much more separated our culture is becoming politically, and I've seen people speculate that there cannot be a peaceful coexistence of two completely different theories of life, theories of government, theories of how we manage our affairs, that we can't be in this dire a conflict without something giving somewhere along the way.
And they knew that from the start. There were 13 distinct colonies with 13 distinct cultures and 13 distinct ideas about what should be done, and so they formed a federalist system where each one was independent. It was able to make its own laws, and some of them others would have found repugnant. Massachusetts had an established church. I wouldn't want an established church, but if Massachusetts had one, I'd have the opportunity when people said we should establish a church to say you should move to Massachusetts.
They already did that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they created a system that became the ruler over all of those states.
Well,
and
the Civil War and the 17th Amendment changed everything.
And the search of power, right? Like the natural sort of direction of power to consolidate, for people to seek more of it, for people to become corrupted by it. I mean, it's just that's just the way it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that is the natural tendency, and what I'm describing is just the path that tendency took.
In this case.
This particular time. It's quite possible that if those things hadn't happened, they would have found another path to tyranny. The only path away from tyranny is having an educated population, and that is hard to maintain.
No doubt about it. And, of course, the government gang has been doing the so-called educating here in the United States, so we shouldn't be surprised.
Well, they've been in the business of preventing education. And
well, they're indoctrinating.
Exactly.
I'm not a big fan of the word educating because it's not education. It is
propagandizing.
It's more indoctrination, I think. That you really got to look at it as, and it's also it's not just like political indoctrination, but more also just of like a teaching or training kids for effectively, I think they would describe it as factory work, right?
Yes.
Opposed
they're doing
to
schooling,
as opposed to educating them for actual modern jobs that require more creative
or entrepreneurialism. They're not doing that.
Exactly.
They'll teach you how to have a job, but that's about it.
And it's kind of interesting because if you look at
because they want the entrepreneurial activities and entrepreneurial opportunities left for their kids.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because if you look at like other countries like China and so forth, like you'll see that they're even more strong on that subject in that area and going down those factory jobs. And you would think that the United States would be trying to move away from that go in the opposite direction, especially now that's not where the money is, right?
Well, China has been certainly a leader in fleeing from liberty for the last century, with the exception of, there were some big improvements in China between the 70s, when they were literally resorting to cannibalism as a result of communist programs like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, and when they actually started they had 10% growth when they in their economy when they were moving toward freedom. And that's an incredible thing. But what I'm told is that now they're
going back the other way.
They're going the other way. They don't want.
That's what
freedom.
Gene tells us. He's visited there for decades.
When your people are starving to death, it's hard to go. It's hard to go even in the other direction in terms of getting even worse. But it's not hard to get better. It doesn't mean that you're going to get great, right? If you've only relaxed things a little bit, and they relax things a little bit, so you see massive improvements. But you're not seeing. But the United States is just sticking to the system it's had, which is training, basically training for factory work and not actually moving into a modern era.
That's the system has
So
had
it's holding
since
us
the
back.
progressive era, but it hasn't always been the system. I mean,
That's true.
for
The
a long
government schools
time-
came about in
Yeah.
the late 1800s.
Yeah, public education, government education, I should say, because, there's always been public education in that there have been scholarships, there have been private schools that that would take donations and use that to help kids out who didn't have money, but government education, that's a bad play.
Coming up, we'll talk about the Pornhub thing. That's in the news. Chris has that story. Plus, I'll give you the rest of the quote from Rush Limbaugh backing away from his comments about secession
No rush
the next
to
day.
secede.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com. Free Talk Live.
They have satellite image pictures of cities on the moon.
No, they
and
don't.
Of course yes, they do.
That's
but
a
they
load
said
of
that
garbage. I've never heard of any such thing. A quick Google search would reveal whatever these lame-o pictures are supposed to be, which, of course, you yourself have never done, right? You've never seen these alleged photos, correct?
No, but
No.
it's actually the.
Why would you
It's
go
the
around
same
saying
thing with the
that
imaginal-
there are pictures of cities on the moon if you yourself have never seen them?
Well, because I heard it on a late night, 2 o'clock in the morning when I used to have that show here.
Yeah, you're talking about the overnight kook show?
Coast to coast.
Coast to coast?
Yeah, they banned that show 5 years ago.
No, they didn't.
But I used to say,
Who's they?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Yeah!
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about secession. Is it finally time? Is it finally something that people are going to take seriously? Is it going to be a national level discussion? Well, Rush Limbaugh actually brought it up the other day. Apparently it was on his Wednesday show. He was talking about secession. It ended up in the news, and then it ended up on the front page of the Drudge Report, which, you know, is a fairly popular news headliner kind of website. And it's great news. I mean, look, Rush apparently is now walking back the statements, but he did get a conversation started, I suspect, because, you know, he is the #1 most listened to talk show on talk radio. Now, I don't listen to Rush. I don't take the time to listen to any other shows. I'm busy doing all kinds of things with my day. But when I saw the news that Rush was talking about this, and I actually saw it on the Drudge Report, I was pretty impressed, because this is an idea that's time has come. We've been talking about it on this show for more than a decade. I don't even remember when we first started talking about secession, but it didn't matter if it was Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George W. Bush, you know, whoever it is that's in office, Joe Biden. We've been promoting secession. And it's important, if you're going to talk about the idea of declaring independence from the United States, it's important to keep that consistent no matter who it is that gets elected, because you don't want to be pigeonholed as, oh, well, you're only in favor of secession because you don't like fill in the blank. Right?
But then again, we will need those people if secession ever comes. Secession will come when somebody very unpopular is in office, and the marginal people who only want to secede because of that guy will be the people who push us over the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And right.
So I have no problem with those people.
Me neither.
I wish they would become more consistent, but we know I know we'll need them.
I'll take them if we can get them, for sure.
The one problem is with worrying about what other people think is that they're going to pigeonhole you regardless, right? Like,
oh, I'm not worried about what other people think.
They're gonna.
I just want them to pigeonhole me as that guy who just hates the federal government.
I don't want them
for being consistent, and I agree with you on that. I just don't think that the reason to be consistent should be because of those people, those negative Nancys out there who are going to attack you. It's not your guy. You know, those people.
Well, I mean, we're just consistent because we're consistent because it's principled.
Right.
That's the reason for it. But
we don't want to be attacked for a lack of principle due to being unprincipled.
And that's a good reason.
One of the benefits of being consistent is that when the inevitable attack comes, you can point to your past and say, because somebody's going to, without any research, they're just going to start yelling about, oh, well, of course you want to secede now that Joe Biden's in office. And then all we have to do is say, no, here's where we talked about this when Donald Trump got into office. Yeah. Okay. And here's where we talked about this when Barack Obama and et cetera and so on. So it's just to show the consistency of it. There's value, I think, in that, because otherwise people will dismiss you because they presume what sort of side that you're on. If you can show them that, no, we're not on one side or the other. We're on the side of freedom, of getting out from this union.
Yeah, it's more than just rhetoric.
So, and look, when it comes to seceding, it is about publicity. It is about getting the word out to people, and the most effective way I think that you can do that is by being consistent, at least from my perspective.
And by being tenacious. If at first you don't secede, try
again.
Yeah.
You gotta have a positive attitude, because you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail. But if you keep doing it long enough, you do. I mean, and it's crazy because people do succeed. Look at the AOL guy. He failed like 7 times, but they didn't get rid of him.
Which AOL guy?
AOL. I can't think of his name, but basically,
he's the guy who made AOL.
Yeah. Basically, they didn't get rid of him. The board didn't get rid of him for years and years and years, and he basically ran AOL into the ground. And then finally he succeeded.
Well, you're talking about actual success.
Business.
Right. Oh, you're talking about success in business as opposed to secession,
obviously,
which is a bit of a different goal.
Exactly, but it's still, conceptually,
So Rush Limbaugh, here's the remainder of what he had to say. Again, walking back his comments, he did admit, yes, of course, he talked about secession. Yes, he does admit that people are talking about it, which is why he started talking about it. But he said he followed up his statement by saying, quote, this is again the next day, or 2 days later. Quote, I simply referenced what I've said other people, or what I've seen other people say about how we are incompatible as currently divided, and that secession is something that people are speculating about. I'm not advocating it, have not advocated, never have advocated it, and probably wouldn't. That's not something...
All I hear is I'm a giant, fat, cowardly douche.
That's not something. 32 years, that's not the way I've decided to go about handling disagreements with the people on the left. Unquote.
I don't just want to be free. I want to force my will on those who disagree with me.
Right. Why would you want to handle your disagreements anyway besides separation? I mean, it's crystal clear that you guys aren't going to get along.
They're just staying together for the children.
Oh, my God.
But if you've got an answer...
they could have knockdown, drag-out fights in front of them. The children.
Yep. So if you want to comment on that, if you happen to share the perspective of Mr. Limbaugh and you want to weigh in here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Because why would you want to keep doing the same thing you've been doing, which is to say fighting constantly over this federal government apparatus of violence that it exists exclusively to oppress and destroy opportunities, destroy businesses, destroy lives, put innocent, peaceful people in prison, murder people all around the planet? Why do you insist on continuing to fight over this when you could actually have a place like Texas or Oklahoma or something for the right-wing folks, and that would be much more to your liking than the United States, where you have to constantly fight with the people from California? I don't get it.
Easy answer. They hate the other side
so much
more than they love liberty. They would rather risk losing all of their liberty for a chance of being able to force their will on the other side than just have their liberty and be able to live their way.
Well, we know they don't want liberty.
That their enemies are living their way too.
They're control freaks. They want to have, their status. They're people who want both sides, whether it's Republican or Democrat. They both want to control you, and they want control more than they want their politician elected.
Well, but you would think that they would like to, because again, we know they're not seeking liberty. They're seeking, in the case of the right-wingers, maybe a theocratic state, pushing the Bible down people's throats. Yeah. But they can't get that with the Democrats around. But I think you're right, nobody. They want to fight so badly. They want to dominate the other side. And I saw this happen in 2016 when, after Trump was elected, you remember there were the protests that happened right after that? Like the left-wingers went out into Central Square here in Keene and in other cities. They had large protests. You remember that? So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go out. Maybe some of these folks on the left are interested in secession now. So, their guy lost, so I'm going to go out and flyer. And some of them were willing to take the flyers, but others were exactly what you were saying, especially the older ones. They had not given up at all. They, as many failures that they'd been through their life, man, they were like, nope, we're going to redouble our efforts. We're going to do what it takes to take Washington, D.C. back so we can do what we want.
Yep. To the other people who don't want it done to them.
That's right.
God forbid anybody should be free to live in a way that's not my way.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. But it looks like there might be an act being proposed for Texas independence coming up.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have two cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them, to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What am I being detained for? You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. The toll-free number, if you want to join us here, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about independence, declaring independence for whatever plot of land you happen to find yourself in. People still believe in states. They're probably not going to stop believing in them anytime soon. So as much as we might like to see the entire idea of the state go away, that's probably not going to happen in the foreseeable future. I'm sorry, nobody. Say that again.
Stay as one step at a time.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's perfectly logical, I think, to secede as a state, because the bottom line is you're going to need someone to be speaking on your behalf to the federal government and explaining why they shouldn't murder you. And to the people in other states.
Yeah, unfortunately, people still believe in the state. And so in this moment, it is a thing that we can use to our benefit. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, like, for instance, we're here in New Hampshire, for listeners that are maybe new to the show. And you do see a lot of flag waving out there of the United States, just generally across the United States. However, when you talk to people, they really do love New Hampshire. they really do understand that it is a special place, that it is this sort of oasis of freedom in a sea of total statism. It's certainly in the Northeast.
And they certainly understand that, New York, California, and Massachusetts are cesspools.
Bad places, exactly.
Cesspools you don't
and New
want
Jersey. We don't want to leave New
decisions.
Jersey out.
Can't leave New Jersey out, The only good thing that ever came out of New Jersey was Chris.
Yeah. And Bob. Well, Bob didn't come from there.
I think. Yeah, Bob did not come from here. I think secession. I think some of their reasons people would be opposed to it is that they don't understand that just because you're not part of a single country does not necessarily mean that you can't move or trade with your neighbors. It depends on how hostile they are. Right. I mean, nothing says that just because New Hampshire is independent that people in New Hampshire couldn't trade with people in Massachusetts, or that New Hampshire people couldn't go to Massachusetts,
people in
or Massachusetts couldn't come to New Hampshire.
Unless they, of course, built a border wall.
Sure,
and then,
sure. Maybe. But
and
that doesn't mean
it doesn't have to be that way. Let them build a wall. I'll trade with the Canadians. I don't care.
Just because New Hampshire doesn't enforce its laws, or laws here, doesn't necessarily mean that Massachusetts couldn't enforce its laws in Massachusetts.
Right, and there already are issues with the New Hampshire-Massachusetts divide. I mean, for a long time, the Massachusetts politicians have been complaining about New Hampshire and the things that we have here that they don't have there. For instance, fireworks. They're actually
firearms.
Firearms. But they actually had, when I moved here, the Massachusetts state cops would actually stake out the fireworks stores on the border. Because, of course, there's, the fireworks stores are near the border because a lot of people from Massachusetts come across the border to go shopping, get illegal fireworks, and bring them back to Massachusetts.
There's a heck of a lot more people in Massachusetts than there are in New Hampshire.
Right.
See, my experience with fireworks, though, coming from Michigan, is I lived about a half an hour north of the Michigan-Ohio border, and Ohio people could buy fireworks in Michigan, and Michigan people could buy fireworks in Ohio, and both sets of police would stake out the respective.
Really?
Yeah, and because you could buy. One of the reasons for being able to buy them is I'm going to take them to a different state.
But what would they be doing? Is there a crime in Michigan to import fireworks, or why are they staking it out?
To have them.
But I thought you said you could buy them in Michigan.
For use. And so I don't know exactly how the legalities work. They never got me for it.
So hold on, but they were
Hold on,
I'm just trying to understand. There were fireworks stores in both Michigan and Ohio, but it was illegal to own fireworks in Michigan?
Yeah, you could only sell them for export.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, and then so everybody would cross the border and then they're export.
Right.
That's funny, and it's illegal in the state that they're exporting them to.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
That's not your problem.
Right.
Right. Yep.
So they would, they would stake out the stores and then pull people over as they were coming back into Massachusetts.
I kind of, in some sense, I kind of like that, but I don't really want them pulling people over.
They stopped.
Okay.
After some number of years.
In New Hampshire, you're talking about.
No, it was the Massachusetts cops that were staking out the New Hampshire stores. New Hampshire actually legalized some more fireworks in recent years. So it used to be that firecrackers were illegal, I think, and they actually legalized those. So there's actually even more fireworks now that are legal in New Hampshire than were before I moved here.
The other thing I remember is they tried to impose Massachusetts sales tax on New Hampshire tire stores. I don't know why they picked tires that were selling tires to people from Massachusetts.
What happened there?
New Hampshire said, yeah, that's not how any of this works. You're not going to tax our businesses.
Right. So there's been conflicts between New Hampshire and also with Massachusetts put a lot of restrictions on like vapes. For instance, in the last year, or like 2 years, remember the vape thing was happening 2 years ago?
There's a couple guys from Porkfest who want me to send them vape stuff in the mail.
They're living in Massachusetts?
I have no comment on whether or not I'm doing that.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a border conflict even during the United States, even with the supposed freedom
They're not
to travel.
united.
Yeah, so here's the next point that I want to get into here, and this is from thehill.com. story published today, or actually yesterday. A Texas state lawmaker has vowed to introduce legislation allowing a referendum for voters to cast their ballots on whether to secede from the United States.
Yeehaw!
Kyle Biederman, who's a Republican, shared on Facebook the following post. He said, quote, "The federal government is out of control and does not represent the values of Texans. That is why I'm committing to file legislation this session that will allow a referendum to give Texans a vote for the state of Texas to reassert its status as an independent nation."
I would love that.
The theft of this election is an excellent reason to secede.
Yes.
You know, my personal secession from the United States, a lot of the reason for it was the cheating of Ron Paul. And I date my secession from the United States is when I became when I went from constitutionalist to anarchist.
And when was that? Was that the Ron Paul campaign?
It was after 2012. I'd seen Ron Paul cheated twice. You know, and deliberately cheated, not only by the party establishment,
right,
but by the media, by concerted effort by all of the media. And I realized that if they, except Jon Stewart of all people, and I realized that if they weren't going to play by their own rules, when your opponent is cheating, the only thing you can do is quit.
Yeah.
You know? And
or play dirty.
Well, or cheat yourself, but that's not my forte.
Right.
I don't do well at cheating. I do well at open defiance. So that's how I'm going to play it.
So, according to Biederman, he said the legislation aligns with the Texas Constitution, which reads, as an excerpt from the Constitution, quote, "The faith in the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a republican form of government, and subject to this limitation only, they have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient."
Now, did he say that was something special about Texas? I missed the beginning of that.
No, he just said it aligns with the Texas Constitution, not that it was special. That
because
his proposal,
those words actually come from the Declaration of Independence, and if the federal government...
Well, those words actually come from the New Hampshire Constitution, or they're very similar to New Hampshire Article 10, which is actually the right to revolution here in the New Hampshire Constitution.
Well, the thing that I note is he uses the phrase to alter or to abolish.
Yes.
And in the Declaration of Independence, it says... after saying that the purpose of government was to secure our rights, it says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. And the important thing about that from a federal point of view is if the Declaration of Independence is an illegitimate document, then they're an illegitimate government, and they need to surrender to the British authorities as traitors.
More coming up. It's Free Talk Live. Join us.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. We're talking about the end to the United States. Even Rush Limbaugh this week acknowledged that people are talking about secession out there.
The United States is only 200 years old. That's very young.
It's a little older than that.
The
it's coming up on 250.
States. Okay. Close. I remember it had its.
It's too damn old.
Bicentennial.
It needs to be put down
during my lifetime.
It needs to be shot, put down. I mean, peacefully.
Well, I don't know if it's that or if it just
That's the
needs
most violent
to
rhetoric
split.
I've heard from you.
The United States came together because they felt there was a need for continuing defense against England.
That's over now.
Okay, I think England is pretty much kaput.
Right.
Yeah, they've been
in that
neutralized.
respect.
Right. Now the fear is of China.
Yeah.
Even one of our own co-hosts, Mark Edge, has fallen into this China fear-mongering.
And now he wants to go move next to China. That's bright.
Well, now he's talking about Africa. He's got a different plan.
Oh, now he wants to. Oh, great. We should put him on the phone with our Irish friend that we talked to down there this week.
Where they're getting murdered left and right in South Africa.
Yeah. It's this is not the right. Okay. Africa, it seems, I don't want to speak for a whole continent.
It's a big place.
But it seems like, collectively, many parts of Africa have decided that they've seen enough white people for a little while. And you know what? Maybe it's time they had a break from us. I think we should leave Africa be and come back to them when we have an invitation.
Yeah, I like New Hampshire. I like our chances here. I like the movement that's here. I mean, I hope Mark is successful with his project. He wants to, create a special economic zone somewhere in the world.
Mark is a bonehead because, Mark thinks that he can survive on money alone without backup, without other people willing to fight.
People. I think he wants.
That's not, but rich people.
He wants rich people.
He pretty much said specific.
Yeah, he did.
Well, a bunch of rich people are not going to be able to defend themselves.
So
that's the problem with that. It is never going to work because they need the poor people to do the bleeding. And as one of those poor people,
Well, I mean, if you are rich enough, you can hire, I'm sure, a ton of security for yourself. But,
he's not even close to that rich, though. I'm pretty sure. Has he hit $1 billion yet?
I don't know what his personal finances are.
Let's not be talking about
I
personal
doubt
finances
it's $1 billion.
But I do want to say this about New Hampshire because he's basically given up on the whole migration and trying to change things.
Well, and it's kind of a carpetbagger move, too, don't you think? He made all of his money off the Liberty Movement, and now he wants to take the money and run and leave the people who
That's
don't
one way to look at
helped
it.
him out because they expected him to be in the fight. I would do business preferentially with Mark because he's going to be in the fight. I do business preferentially with you because you're in the fight.
I think what it comes down to is I personally I don't think thinking that money is going to solve the problem. It's not alone going to solve the problem, but
it's helpful.
But
it's
not
going to solve the problem,
right?
I mean, it's not only helpful, but it's essential.
Well, let him go on with what he was saying, please.
Just a quick comment. The revolution never would have succeeded without broad-based middle-class support to pay for it and broad-based lower-class support to fight it.
So, I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is that it may be that ultimately that's what we need to do, but I think the answer is it would need to ultimately be someplace that we could reasonably effectively take control of, and that may be someplace that doesn't really have any people right now, or it could be, maybe I don't know, maybe it is Africa, I don't know. But the point is that ultimately, you're looking at something that it can't be done in a short period of time. It's something that you've got to show that you have to demonstrate that you can get enough people together to have an effect. And I think we've begun to demonstrate that it's possible
in New Hampshire.
But the problem with looking at doing something outside New Hampshire, outside of the United States, is that trying to find a place where there's going to be jobs, there's going to be economic activity that can support it, and so on.
Well, I think what they're trying to do
they're building a big women's studies plant over in Africa.
I think what they're trying to do is to create a place so not that there are jobs, but that they're going to try to create jobs, and they're going to try to carve out this plot of land in a very poor nation and basically bribe the government officials to leave them alone. Is what they believe.
That might work out, except not with if they wanted to come in and mix with the locals and associate with the locals and become locals, maybe that would be a thing. But the thing is, what they want to do, I think, is the same attitude. They want to go in and they want to be they want to be hire the natives as servants, and they want to see them as a second class of people. I believe.
I don't know if that's how they would describe it. I can't speak for them, but yeah, they definitely do.
It's an insular community they want to build.
But they are talking about hiring people from the country,
right? But. Okay. Anyway, the thing that's going to happen, I suspect, is that the natives will resent the hell out of them. And when somebody decides, hey, they've got a lot of money, let's go take it, the locals aren't going to be there to help.
To defend them.
They're not going to be there to defend their friends who stood by them, because these are not their friends who stood by them. They're an insular group of people living in an enclave, and that never breeds love from the local population.
There's some risk there, but there's also something to be said about money and power. So, somebody coming in with power, and money, and that equals power to some degree, does probably have some
money equals power only as long
potential.
as it's defended with force.
Yeah. Effectively,
because without the force, you don't keep the money.
Right. But effectively, if of course you can control the politics effectively, and you're not necessarily
you can't control politics, especially as a white person in Africa.
Well, again,
they're hoping they can buy their favors, basically.
Right.
And I think that's what the failure.
That's been tried.
Has it?
Award, yes.
Where has it been tried? Where has somebody bought?
It's been. Hey, the first colonists in America traded glass beads for Manhattan, right? They traded. They tried to buy their failures.
You know what might,
or their acceptance.
You know what might work is some sort of negotiation. If you can get the leadership on your side in a country.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're trying to negotiate a deal where they're left alone for some number of 100 years or whatever. But the thing is, I don't understand why they think that they can believe these politicians. I mean, why?
It doesn't. You only
that's
need,
the big thing. Why would they trust Mark Edge?
You only need to have their support to up to a certain extent, because once you have assuming you can get enough people that support what you're trying to do, and you're not actually taking over their populated areas, right?
Right.
You eventually get to a point where you effectively are a military and you can control and defend yourself from those government.
It's an interesting. Hold on, guys. It's an interesting. Hold on. Let me continue here. Out. We got Kirby on the line here. He's in Indiana. You're on Free Talk Live, watching us on Twitch.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Kirby.
Before I forget, nobody. Good afternoon. I left
you
number with your call screener. You're a troublemaker and a rabble rouser, and I love you.
All right, man. You too, my brother. You get in touch with that guy about the gun church?
No, I haven't. That's the reason I left you my number, because I want you to give me a call.
Okay. You emailed me, bro?
No, he said he left it with the call screener.
With your call
okay. Groovy. I will pick that up and get right in touch.
Right on. Hey, and Mark and them are trying to do a colonization deal, which is cool, but there's going to be a Mau uprising, and they're going to end up with their heads on a stick.
Right? Am I right? Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I've been saying, bro.
The reality is there's no way at this point in the history of what we've tried to do as a liberty people that we're going to be able to pull off, some sort of some sort of takeover of some land somewhere. I mean, we've got thousands of people.
There's nobody in the world who's going to trust white people this century. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, you're talking about corrupt politicians in other countries.
No, it's not about the politicians. The government control.
You guys can go back and forth all night. I want to hear what Kirby has to say.
Sounds
Kirby,
good.
if you can hang on, apologize through the news. We're going to bring you back here and give you plenty of chance to explain, because I want to hear what Kirby thinks is going to happen with this. 855-450 free. That's 855-450.
It was clear.
3733. Yeah, but he only had like 10 seconds, so let's give him a little bit
more time.
A little bit more. Coming up here in moments. Hour number 2 is on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe Pick up some of those coins for yourself.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Sal Giangrasso. The U.S. Supreme Court denies the attempt by Texas to challenge election results in 4 other states.
They say the state of Texas's motion for leave to file a bill of complaint, this state-by-state controversy they wanted to bring to the court directly, it says it's denied for lack of standing. Texas has not demonstrated a judicially cognizable interest in the manner in which another state conducts its elections, saying, you know, Texas was claiming here the way that these 4 other states conducted their elections and changed things at the last minute. Texas accused these states of exploiting the pandemic to change things like witness verification, signatures, voter ID, those kinds of things. The court here basically is saying they don't have a cognizable interest, a legal challenge that we can weigh in on here.
That's Fox's Shannon Bream. It could come at any time. Approval from the Food and Drug Administration for Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine.
They've made it clear they are working fast and do plan to approve it fairly soon. The FDA putting out a statement writing, the FDA has informed the sponsor that it will rapidly work towards finalization and issuance of an emergency use authorization. The agency has also notified the CDC and Operation Warp Speed so that they can execute their plans for timely vaccine distribution. Essentially, get ready.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith. The CDC has announced that the first round of vaccines will be distributed to healthcare workers, the elderly, residents of long-term care facilities, and those at high risk of being hospitalized by the virus. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is tightening coronavirus restrictions in New York City because of rising hospitalization rates.
We said that we would watch it. If the hospital rate didn't stabilize, we would close indoor dining. It is not. We're going to close indoor dining in New York City on Monday.
It's sure to cause backlash because the city's restaurant owners say they've already been struggling to make ends meet, and Congress still hasn't agreed on a COVID-19 relief package. America is listening to Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
Airports are tightening protocols for flying amid ongoing COVID-19 concerns.
The holiday travel season is here, and health experts fear it's only going to lead to more COVID spread around the country, state to state. So for passengers who are going to fly but want to fly proven negative, Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International now has on-site testing, joining Tampa's airport in doing that. It's for both rapid antigen tests and a PCR test. You get the antigen test on your text or email in just about 30 minutes. The PCR test results come within about 48 hours.
Fox's Phil Kading in Broward County, Florida. President Trump lost a Wisconsin lawsuit seeking to disqualify more than 221,000.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
If you're one of the many frustrated singles who suffer from online dating fatigue, you might just be in luck. A new dating website launched this week that caters to fed-up men and women who simply want to meet eligible singles with unbroken skin or open sores similar to their own. It's called Last Shot.
If you're one of those people who's just ready to throw your hands up in the air and start a life with someone who has unbroken lesion-free skin, or on the other hand, if you're open to someone who has boils and abscesses similar to your own, Last Shot is perfectly calibrated to your needs.
Boasting a user-friendly interface and affordable dues of $4.99 a month, Last Shot simply asks users to log in, then click yes or no if they have open sores. Within moments, they're connected with hundreds of eligible singles who have comparable skin conditions. Reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. Arcuri hopes to one day introduce an upgraded membership experience, which would allow exasperated singles to filter for specific skin conditions.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
All right, it is Free Talk Live, and we are kicking off the second hour of the program here. We're talking about freedom movements.
Yeah. And, okay, I got to own it, though, when that Onion ad that was on.
Most people, by the way, on the radio don't know what you're referring to. So
they're not hearing it.
Only the people listening on the streams.
In that case, I'll just buy it and say I got onioned bad.
Yeah, so,
I totally believe the thing about the open source. So, okay, go on about your business. Speak amongst yourselves now. I just had to own the truth.
I got to explain it for our listeners.
Nobody tells the truth, you know.
Now that you're talking about it, I've got to explain it. So, for listeners that are on the radio, you don't hear. So what happens is
I know how to make Ian do things.
Radio stations play their own news break, right? So we, during our break, top of the hour in radio, there's a news break, and then there's usually like a minute-long commercial after the news. So whatever we're playing on our internet stream doesn't go on the radio during that. So we've actually got some fairly offensive sort of news parodies, basically. The Onion, for listeners that aren't familiar, it's a satire site online, and they had a series of radio parody things that they put out for a long time. And actually, they have a great series of TV parody kind of things where they parody the news and they parody commercials, and they just do all kinds of fun stuff. And I took those and I cut up a bunch of them because they're like, a lot of them are 3 or 4 minutes long. So I cut them down to a 1 minute length, and I made hundreds of these things that rotate on the LRN.FM live feed. And so one of them tricked you as you were listening to it. It was for a dating website to help people with like open sores meet one another. It was absolutely disgusting.
And Chris and I, at the same time, took off our headphones and yelled, "Ugh!" and made almost exactly the same gesture. You got to go look at it on the
video,
freaking YouTube or we're on Library too.
In my head was just awful.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, there was pus seeping. It was disgusting. What happened in my mind was a crime.
I cut myself off before I heard that. I didn't even get to that part of it.
No, they didn't say that. This was just what went on in my mind. My mind raced to places that most people will never see as a result of hearing that ad. Oh my God.
So anyway, that's what you were referring to. Let's go back to your calls and thoughts. We've been talking about the different migrations for freedom. Of course, we're all here in New Hampshire as part of the New Hampshire freedom migration that's been going on for more than a decade, well over a decade here, 15 plus years.
A real successful one at that.
Successful,
by comparison, anyway.
And we're growing every bleeding day.
Biggest year.
I hear.
2020 is the biggest year so far. I've got some interesting numbers actually provided by the Free State Project that I will share with you here. But I want to bring Kirby back on the line from Indiana, listening to us on Twitch. Kirby, are you with us?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead with your thoughts, sir.
Well, I was just wanting to say it's ironic that you guys will be talking about this tonight because that's what I got up on this morning. The continental United States is basically 1/3 of this continent. There's room enough here for all of us, regardless of our bent. When you look at the West, there's almost nothing between the Rocky Mountains and California.
The government literally owns over 2/3 of the land mass of some of those states.
And nobody, we're the government. And I'm going to go back to something Silver Dave
No,
said.
we are not.
50 people wield a great deal of power. And if we had 50 people in every capital city willing to get out and each one reach one and talk to 100 people a month, in a year, we would have a true secession movement. And the government would be in a place where it would either have to A, round us up, B, kill us, or C, give in.
Yeah. And the thing is, not all the states have to secede, because if you build up a big movement, that movement can then flock to the states that do secede and replace the people, the loyalists, who are going to want to be moving to non-seceding states.
Right, the ones that want to stay in the Union.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we need to expand this freedom movement, this Free State Project, to all 50 states, because that's the only way you're going to get enough people to really make the
that's
government.
the thing.
You know,
Doesn't work that way.
Now that you said that, there's actually some wisdom there, because the question is, what percentage of the states you have, looking at the political mechanics of the Constitution? Okay, it takes, I think, 2/3 of the states to amend the Constitution.
That's right.
It would only take half of the states, though, to prevent us from going to war. What they would have to do would be to have half of...
You mean half of Congress?
Well, it would be half of Congress, but that means...
When is the last time they prevented a war? I mean, there hasn't even been a war declared in the last 80 years.
The thing is, we're not the Vietnamese or the Iraqis or the Afghans.
It'll look a lot worse.
We have standing to sue in American courts, and we're here to shoot them directly rather than shooting the children of their poor neighbors if they actually get out of hand with this stuff, which is not what they're looking for. They want to sacrifice other people's children, not their own.
Exactly, because they're cowards.
Yes.
And the minute that the fight comes to their door, they will run. That's what they've always done. And the way we're doing it now, we're giving them a buffer. We need to take that buffer, that demilitarized zone. We need to be like the Vietnamese and be everywhere and nowhere all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to
drop bombs to little children.
Our energy from their system.
We don't actually need the violent part. We can wait for the state to initiate the violence.
The state will initiate the violence, and we have to let them.
They do it every day. I don't know what there is to wait. There's no waiting. If you want to start something, if you want to react.
The prime mover in any given war is going to lose. The way to win the war is to be the side that got attacked, not
Defensive.
the side that attacks.
Perception.
Because that way they know that you waited as long as you could until the moment of initiation of force before you fought back.
That is right. And that's what I've been advocating for. I got a few people here who are like-minded, and they just hang out and wait. They talk to people. They're preppers. They prepare themselves. But we Americans are so soft and weak and cuddly and happy. We ain't going to do that until they take away our Xbox.
But not all of them, brother. And that's why we're up here, is if we can get enough people up here into New Hampshire that we can actually secede, that's going to be a lot quicker. We will achieve that long before we can educate half of our countrymen to the point of even democratically supporting it. And at that point, once New Hampshire has decided to secede, the rest of the country is faced with the question, do we want to go to war with our brothers and sisters in New Hampshire?
Family members.
I think the answer is going to be no.
I think you're right about that.
And also, New Hampshire is a lot easier than Indiana because we're on the border of Canada.
That's right.
And we also have an ocean border.
2 international
which means
borders.
We can trade. Who are you going to trade with in Indiana, brother?
True. Ohio, Kentucky.
Yeah, you'd have to get all those states.
All I got to say is I got no Xbox here.
Sorry, Kirby, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. I see exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah, there's a reason why New Hampshire won the choice of the destination states, and that there's a reason why it beat Wyoming, which was a second place contender. But Wyoming is landlocked and it's humongous, whereas New Hampshire already has some advantages to leave the United States, and I think that was a factor on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, I mean the Free State Project slogan is liberty in our lifetime. Because the reality is, if I wait for half of my countrymen to wake up, I'm going to die waiting.
Yeah, it'll never happen. Hey, Kirby, thanks for the call tonight, man. I do appreciate hearing from you as always.
Y'all have a good evening.
Yep, and so the only thing I disagree with Kirby on is the whole idea of this the free state thing needs to happen in 50 states. The whole reason why it happened in one state, the whole reason it happened in one state was because there aren't enough people to do it anywhere else. We have to combine our efforts in one place. If we can secede, then maybe someone else will follow. Absolutely. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy.
DINOVITE.com.
They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the migration of people for freedom, the secession of people for more freedom. And secession is definitely an idea that is being talked about, hopefully on a nationwide basis. Now, I mean, certainly Rush Limbaugh is a popular talk show host, but he's not known by everybody, right? Like, there's still plenty of people in sort of normal society that have never even heard of Rush.
And other people who think he's a disgusting slug who wants people imprisoned for things that he did himself. Oxycontin.
Sure.
Wink, wink.
I don't even know the guy. I mean, I've heard of him.
I don't know him. I just know he's kind of a scumbag.
I've never heard him talk before that I'm aware of or conscientious of. So, yeah, I think it's definitely...
So you're one of the folks that just doesn't barely even know he exists. Yep. But the reality is he is the #1 talk show host in the United States. So there are millions of people.
If I hadn't heard you guys talking about him, I might not know about him either.
He's the king of the neocons. He's the pro-war, anti-Ron Paul wing of the Republican Party.
But that said, it's still good news when somebody like Rush Limbaugh is talking about secession. Yes. And he used the dirty
The more
word.
people disagree with you on other things, the more we want them to agree with us on secession.
By the way, I do want you to know about Divi. It is a cryptocurrency that has made it super easy to create a masternode. So you want to get into doing masternodes, you can do that with Divi, and you can do it relatively affordably. You can get into it with different levels of masternodes, so you get different rewards classes as you do that, but you do have to have Divi in order to create a masternode. In order to get the Divi, you can either go on multiple exchanges, or you can just get it straight from the Divi team by connecting to their Telegram channel and talking to them directly through diviproject.org. They got a link there to their Telegram, diviproject.org. That's diviproject.org. So it's Ian Nobody and Chris here in the studio tonight. We've been discussing just generally the idea of secession. There's a story out of Texas now. So the same week that Rush Limbaugh was talking about secession on his show, and again, we've been talking about it for like more than a decade here on Free Talk Live. So it's nice to know that Rush has been paying attention. But that there's a Texas State Representative Kyle Biederman, who posted on Facebook that this coming session in Texas, he is going to be introducing a referendum that will give Texans a vote to reassert their status as an independent nation. He says further, the
All right.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Texas on much, but go Texas on that.
Absolutely. I don't care if it's New Hampshire or Texas that goes first, as long as somebody secedes first, then others will follow.
Yeah, I mean, if California, New York,
California's
New Jersey,
working on it too,
and Massachusetts, if those 4 states left the union, the danger for us is it would be more tolerable to be in it. But
no, it wouldn't.
But you know,
trust me,
we know that other states are going to catch up with them soon.
See, the problem.
I still want to be free of it.
See, the problem is that, like, I don't think that right now it would even matter much. In that, freedom. New Hampshire is maybe a freer place to live, but it's not free, and I want freedom. So, it's not
the only way we're going to be completely free is to form enclaves within New Hampshire. But in order to do that, we have to have enough power in the political community to defend us from the state police and to defend us against their other law enforcement. We're going to have a diplomatic corps. Now we call them politicians and we get them elected to office. But eventually they're going to have to interact with the rest of the world as ambassadors and be the people to say, you really shouldn't bomb us, and here's why. Let me describe to you what it's like fighting a population where everybody is armed, and I would expect to be close to that point by the time we get secession.
You were saying?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry, I was left unsupervised with the dab.
Yeah.
I don't think that made the difference.
You go on and on and on. By the time I remember, whatever I was saying, I totally forgot.
And brevity is the soul of wit. I do. Mea culpa, sir. Mea culpa.
I think the best thing you could do is just say, hold on. And then continue your thoughts.
Yeah,
you can't just keep letting him break in over top of it.
If you do something and get my attention, I'll generally stop.
Yeah. So if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE is the number. That's 855-450-3733. The quote from Biederman says that he quotes the Texas Constitution, which says the faith of the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a republican form of government, and subject to this limitation only, they have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient, which sounds similar to New Hampshire's Constitution, where in Article 10 in the Bill of Rights, it says this, quote, government being instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the whole community, and not for the private interest or emolument of any one man, family, or class of men. Therefore, whenever the ends of government are perverted and public liberty manifestly endangered, and all other means of redress are ineffectual, the people may, and of right, ought to reform the old or establish a new government. The doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Right. So that is Article 10 of the New Hampshire Constitution. We got Hank. He's on the line in Florida, listening in Ocala to WOCA. Go ahead, Frank. Or Hank, sorry about that.
Hey, I was just kind of wondering how this secession would work. If you secede, would you create your own form of government? You got to have some kind of organization to the...
Well, that's not up to me. I intend to encourage the people who want to live without a government at all to move to New Hampshire, and I intend to convince the people who do want to live under a government not to move into New Hampshire and maybe to move out of New Hampshire because we can't both stay and go. So the only thing that's going to make both of us happy is if I'm here and they're there.
Yeah. The need for government is because of the people. The people, and without the people needing it, the government isn't needed.
Sorry, I put Hank on hold there for a moment because there was a lot of noise in the background. Go ahead, Hank.
I'm sorry, but the people are not going to need government. You got to have some kind of organized society.
Well, you have one where you are. We're going to do our thing in New Hampshire, bro.
Hank, are there not
I'm trying to get the information. The southern states succeeded, but they also had to form a type of government.
How'd that work out for them?
The Civil War was never about slavery, the actual war. It was about state seceding.
Well, maybe if
And
they hadn't had a
instead-
government, they wouldn't have shelled Fort Sumter. And if they hadn't have shelled Fort Sumter, then maybe there wouldn't have been popular support to go down and beat them like redheaded stepchildren. The South fired first in the Civil War.
What if that was
they initiated force?
What if that wasn't true? What if that was actually a false flag?
That would make a huge difference.
But how would we know? Sorry,
we don't
Hank.
know.
Hold on.
But
I know
we
you're
know
trying
what
to.
we think we know.
I know Hank's
Occam's
trying to
razor.
get a thought in here, so hang on, Hank. We're going to bring it back here in just a moment. If you can stand by, we'll continue with you. 855-450 free, because he's got a concern. He's like, well, what about the government? Well, don't we need to have a government? I would say I don't want one. I don't want some group of thugs telling me what to do, telling me how to live. 855-450 free. If you want one, I mean, you can hire people to tell you how to live. That's fine.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bain Books at BainBooks.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want, although we're talking about secession tonight, declaring independence from the United States or wherever you happen to be. I say secede wherever you are. I mean, if you can secede as an individual, that's great. But whether it's Catalonia, who wants to secede from Spain because they want to go more socialist, or California wanting to secede from the United States because they want to go more socialist, I don't care. I support secession.
If you want to get more socialist, get farther away from me.
That's right.
I'm down. If you want to get more capitalist, then you need to get farther away from the federal government. And I'm down. And I will be in the place where I think we're going to see liberty soonest.
Me too.
And that's
Me too.
where I am, but I encourage people who don't think, who think they can do it where they are, or who want to get their feet wet. Once you uproot yourself from your home, it gives you an opportunity to look around the nation, and I don't think you'll find any place that competes with New Hampshire as a place for a libertarian to live.
All right. Sure. So I do want to say thank you to Tony M., who is a Free Talk Live Platinum Amplifier. Thank you, Tony, for being a supporter of the show. He's 5 times a supporter. He's doing at least $25 a month to the AMP program. So thank you for helping us get this message on more radio stations. That's the point of AMP. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's $5 a month, and Tony's doing at least 25. So thanks for that. But 5 is all we ask, and you get some cool perks, get some benefits for joining up. Hank is on the line. Go to amp.freetalklive.com if you want to join us again. That's ampamp.freetalklive.com. Hank, back with us listening to WOCA. Hank, I want to make sure you had a chance to get your thoughts out here. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm with you on the succession and the free state and everything. I'm just trying to figure out how that actually works. Because I think you'll have criminal activity and everything else.
Yeah.
And there's going to be...
Right now we do. They're in government.
But the answer is not one answer, because every state's going to be different after secession, and each one is going to be trying to figure out what works for them. And we're going to try, we're going to fail, we're going to do it our way, and then we're going to learn from each other. But there is no single entwined future. That's the point. I don't want to go where California is going, and California doesn't want to go where I'm going. I'm not trying to get them to join my tribe. I'm trying to get them to let my people go.
So there's this thing called a voluntary organization. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the government has to do everything for you, right? Everything from charity to defense can be done through voluntary organization and participation. Nothing says that, I have to participate in the same military organization that, nobody here participates in, or Ian participates. We can all do our own defensive organizations. And then, at times of maybe war, for example, maybe come and join up together to actually, defend a larger foreign enemy or adversary, or just personal protection, right? Security. Same thing. You don't necessarily have to have a, government created police force. We already have in some places private security organizations and competing security organizations, particularly if you start to look at, places with more wealthy individuals. They will have their own private security, and not necessarily
not even more wealthy
alone,
ones,
but separate, right?
Look at Threat Management Center in Detroit. They don't have only wealthy clients. They have poorer neighborhoods that hire them.
And the thing to point out about this is that when you have more money because your government isn't taking it from you, they're not stealing it from you, right? You actually can afford private security. Most people can. It's the fact that the government has taken your money that you cannot. When your income doubles because there is no government stealing your money, well, you're no longer poor.
This guy's trying to buy a Volkswagen. You want to sell him a Lexus.
Huh?
This guy's trying to buy a Volkswagen. You're trying to sell him a Lexus.
Who?
Y'all.
Which guy?
Y'all are trying to sell the guy anarchy. That's not what he wants.
I didn't ask him. What?
But the thing is...
I'm not trying to sell him anything about anarchy.
Okay, well, what you're trying to do is sell him voluntarism.
You're talking about Chris.
Okay, yeah, Chris, really. Okay, I thought you were doing it before.
Well,
but,
he was asking about specifically Hank was asking about a society with no government. So
he was asking about a society after secession.
No, but that's what I wanted to say.
The answer is not all the states are going to be the same. Your state's going to do it
Here's what I wanted
your
to say
state's way.
to Hank about that. And that is that on day number 1 after secession, you're still going to have people calling themselves the government in your state. So when you secede from the United States in Florida, you still have the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Florida prisons, the Florida courts, all the Florida criminals. They're all still there. So you're not going to have secession doesn't mean that you go to pure anarchy. That may be what some people want to have happen, but I don't think you're going to see that happening in Florida anytime soon. So, Hank, go ahead.
Okay. Answer some of the questions. I just know there have to be rules and there have to be some kind of organization.
You can have all of that you want.
You do it your way where you are, bro.
Yeah, you can have as many rules as you would like. So I say have at it.
Where you're going to be. You can't be totally
I'm going to be in New Hampshire.
Don't you worry about us.
Are you going to be in New Hampshire? If not,
in New Hampshire, you're going to have to set rules.
Don't you worry about it.
I don't think it's your job to prescribe that.
You don't tell us what to do.
If you really want to make us impose rules on ourselves, you're going to have to move up here and fight us. But since you're down there, I don't have to fight you.
Hank, you have this idea that there are no rules. There are some fundamental rules. I mean, in a sense, right? I mean, if I use violence against Ian over here, right? Ian is going to use violence against me, right? So it's not necessarily in my interest to use violence against him. So there is a certain amount of self-interest and self-preservation that will reduce the likelihood of violence independent of government, and you already see that in a lot of places that don't have government. That doesn't mean that everybody is constantly being victimized by their neighbor. They're not.
Okay.
Thank you.
I agree. And if y'all wasn't in a northern state where it's so damn cold, probably more people would want to join you.
Well, I heard that, Hank, and thank you for the call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you. That's okay. We want to keep the Sunshine Patriots away.
We appreciate the cold. It keeps out the weak.
Yep, exactly. So we continue here.
It seems to be the most talked about excuse for not
it is. It's the biggest reason.
For more power to them, right? Because we don't need the Sunshine Patriots up here.
That's right. Let's go to JT in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, JT.
Yeah, I tell you, I've lived in northern states all my life. They used to say it keeps out the riffraff. But thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir. What's up?
I'm calling in response to something you said a couple weeks ago, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the United States have been coasting since the American Revolution. Mm-hmm. And I'm not necessarily arguing that, but I just want you to look back sort of historically and just see that most of the population was opposed to a revolution, and there is an irony in there. Okay, and Maine wanted to loyal up altogether.
Okay.
And as did other states. The Civil War was a direct result of the War of 1812 and never had anything to do with slavery or anything else. It had to do with blockades and technology, and that's how the North won the war ultimately, but it was a reaction.
Well, slavery was a factor. I mean, it was one of multitude of factors.
Definitely was a factor, but the North's reaction was blockades, but it was a reaction to a suspension of habeas corpus. Why the South seceded was that, and also the Northern Draft, and ultimately, if you look at books and stuff, it was ultimately the loss of, I guess we'd call it now DNA. And I want to talk about the PCR test of our time, but not today, of our 120-year-old long dead brothers and sisters that tried to save it, and they couldn't because
I'm lost on what you're trying to say. I lost you. You lost me on the DNA part, so I'm not really sure what you're getting at.
All
If you can maybe rephrase that coming up here, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Not real clear on that, but and he just dropped off the line. So he could have stayed. But anyway, we'll get to your calls then. The toll-free number is 855-450 for your thoughts on secession. Can it happen now? Finally?
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the hope for a COVID vaccine on the rise, shifting political landscape, and the election at an end, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text MONEY to 411-411 to find out how our technology can forecast market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Text MONEY to 411-411 to get what you need to stay ahead of market trends and find explosive moves before they happen. Vantage Point's patented technology analyzes huge quantities of global data in seconds. Stop guessing. Start predicting trends 72 hours in advance. Text MONEY to 411-411 and experience Vantage Point for free. Text MONEY to 411-411 so you can protect and grow your capital now. Don't wait. Text MONEY to 411-411.
Go to VantagePointSoftware.com for terms, conditions, and privacy policy.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. All you got to do is dial in to join us. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
Nobody.
And Chris.
We've been talking about secession. It's been on the minds, apparently, of a growing number of people. Even Rush Limbaugh, apparently, talking about it on his radio show, making headlines as a result of that, which, of course, has resulted in more people talking about secession. It's like I've been saying for years, the more people that talk about secession, the closer we are to it becoming a reality. The more people that talk about it, the more people will come to believe it's possible. Because when you first start talking about it, when you're just the one guy talking about secession, you're the only person in any, decent amount of distance talking about secession, then you can just be, written off. You're a crackpot. You're a kook. But when there's more than one person who's talking about it, then it becomes more believable. Then people are starting to think, hey, maybe this actually is possible. Rush Limbaugh's even talking about it. And before you know it, you've got a movement.
Well, nobody believes that secession is possible, and nobody believes that we could live better without each other than we can live with each other. So as much as you disagree with me on other things, if you agree with me on secession, if you agree with me that I should be free to make my choices and you should be free to make yours, then that's good enough for me. You're my brother at that point.
Yep. We're
comrades in that fight.
We've got Turd. He's calling from Pennsylvania, watching us on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Turd.
Can't polish him.
Yeah. So, real quick, before I jump into what I was calling about, I just wanted to say that guy Hank was pretty funny. He made me laugh, and he'd be a good candidate to listen to Sam Cedar's show, The Majority Report, and he could call in and he could say, yeah, well, we really need government because there'd be crime, and Sam Cedar would be like, yeah, we do need government because they need to regulate the light bulbs and do all that stuff, and I just think they could have a blast talking to each other on Sam Cedar's show. But
okay.
But the reason why I wanted to call it. Yeah, the reason why I wanted to call, though, is because I feel really bad for all the business owners in America. My heart goes out to Angela Marsden, particularly in L.A.
Who?
But Angela Marsden in L.A., she's this restaurant owner in L.A. that
is this the woman that had a film crew set up outside of her business, and they had like special permission to feed a bunch of people outside while she was being told she can't feed anybody in her business?
Yeah,
Okay.
That woman, that poor woman, that makes me want to cry like every time I see her. But yeah, I especially feel bad tonight though for the people of Pennsylvania because Governor Tom Wolf, the wolf in sheep's clothing, as I like to call him, has once again, after all this, I'm going to try really hard not to swear. I'm already getting heated. After all this mess that the businesses of PA have been put through, after not getting any help from their government, after being locked down by the federal government, or being encouraged by the federal government by the state government. Well, the federal government encouraged the state governments to lock everybody down. And then after, as long as it was that they stayed locked down and didn't get any help from anybody, and then finally got to open up at 50% capacity. And now Tom Wolf is once again shutting down the restaurants at 0% indoor dining capacity once again. And
well, if they did it once and got away with it, why wouldn't they do it again and again and again until they put everybody out of business?
What I would say is sell your business to somebody who's politically connected where you are, take the money and move where we are.
Yeah. Well, I feel really bad for them. And we just lost, and York, Pennsylvania just lost a staple of their community 2 weeks ago when Vito's Pizza, who'd been around for over 25 years, shut down because they were fed up with the lockdowns around here. And then they were drowning in debt because nobody's giving them any help. And people aren't letting them sell food to their customers, which is the whole point of a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was never a populist, but this crisis has brought out the populist in me, because when you lock down all these businesses and you force them to close, and then you don't, and I'm against all this printing money and all the spending, but I don't know how these people are supposed to live when you're locking them down and you're not letting them eat.
They won't.
or serve their customers.
They're going out of business. They've been going out of business all year, and this is going to be a brutal winter because almost all of these states, a lot of them, are relocking down. They're telling businesses they've got to close completely. They've got to do only takeout if they're restaurants, and it's just going to eliminate. It was 60% of the Yelp restaurants that had closed over the summertime were never going to reopen, and I bet you that number is going to be up by the time we hit January.
They don't want us breathing their air. And especially what they don't want is the most successful people of the people that they don't think are fit to survive. So basically, they're there to shut down small business and let big business take over. And the fortunes of the billionaires show the change. They have expanded. So this is an organized rally. And at this point, I would say that libertarianism is populism.
Wow.
I agree with that. Nobody. I agree with that statement. Libertarianism is the new populism. You're not a populist in 2020 unless you're a libertarian. And here's the saddest part about all this. A lot of these small business owners in Pennsylvania aren't super educated. They don't have like these big fancy educations and didn't go to these Ivy League schools like all these politicians got to. And then they get to pretend. And then while they're shutting down all these businesses, they get to pretend like they're smarter than everyone when really they're stupider than all of them.
Well, they're just thugs.
Well, they learned one thing at Harvard. They learned how to schmooze with the right people, how to be connected.
Right.
Because in a governed economy, that's what you need. You need political connection, not economic ability.
Turd, what happened? There was a few weeks ago, there was a news story about like a couple dozen Pennsylvania businesses. I think it was in one particular section of the state. I forget which one it was, but that they were supposedly forming some sort of a coalition to oppose the shutdowns or to make some sort of a stand. But then they ended up sounding like they just wanted to beg the governor. Do you know what happened with those guys?
No, I know the news story you're talking about. I don't know what happened with that, but I do know. I should say though that we supposedly had a legal success with this, and where they decided, the Supreme Court or the courts in Pennsylvania decided that Governor Wolf doing these lockdowns was completely unconstitutional. And now he's able to do it again. Yeah. Like after they said it was.
Well, now you've got to sue him again. See, they've already gotten one ruling, but now you've got to get another ruling because he just ignores the first one.
And that transfers a lot of money from your community to them when you pay your lawyer.
At what point do they throw him in a jail cell?
They won't. It's right? Pennsylvania. They only do that in Illinois.
Yeah. Maybe y'all should indict him as a public, form a common law grand jury, indict him, and bring your governor to trial.
Unfortunately, the last time they tried that in Michigan earlier this year, they got arrested by the federal government.
Yeah, well, there were only 6 of them. Try again with 600, and if that doesn't work, come with 6,000, and if that doesn't work,
the problem is
60,
you get infiltrated when you're only at 6, and then they take you down.
Well, that's okay, because in the process, they have to sacrifice their infiltrators, and they'll run out of infiltrators before we run out of energy.
This is why,
if we build it fast.
Yeah, this is why you have to organize, but you can't organize. You have to organize it more in a broader sense with getting enough people in one place. And then there's outrage, and when there's outrage, people will stand up.
Yeah, if you've got enough people, you can just ignore them. You don't have to go and kidnap the governor like they were going to do in Michigan. That's not the answer. That's not how you're going to get more freedom. Then you're just lowering yourself to their level.
But it does change. I mean, there does come a time when, yes, if he continues giving orders, then you have to fight back. And it makes more sense.
Yeah, you can fight back by just...
and try.
Yeah, but then you've got to kidnap the person, and that's not going to work.
You don't have to kidnap him.
Okay, well, how do you bring him to court?
Because kidnapping is a wrongful
How do you
act.
bring him to your court?
You bring him to your court by taking him to your court by the same way he would take you.
They would kidnap you.
You take him and you move him.
Okay, that's a kidnapping.
And they kill anyone who tries to stop you.
That's a kidnapping. You just said You just said you don't support it, but now you're supporting
when somebody is not violating your rights. It is a capture when somebody is at war with you, and the government is enabling agency at war
I get
with
what you're
us.
saying, but
they
unfortunately,
have initiated force.
Well,
hostilities have commenced.
I get what you're
killing us.
saying. I get it, man. I get it. I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's a good approach.
Strategy. It doesn't work strategy-wise.
Yeah, I think you're going to become that which you hate.
It's the only thing that's ever worked strategy-wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the best way to do it is to just disobey and to have mass non-cooperation, have businesses actually start acting like courageous people, like the Attila's Gym. And thank you, Turd. More coming up here in moments. Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Sal Giangrasso. The U.S. Supreme Court says no to the Texas elections lawsuit supported by President Trump. The High Court threw out a complaint filed by the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, that directly attacked 4 other states, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, that President-elect Joe Biden won.
The Supreme Court says this is the end. That case is going nowhere. We're not going to get involved. And Texas essentially does not have what they need here, which is a cognizable interest, and they have a lack of standing. So the case is done. This is it.
That's Fox's Shannon Bream. The lawsuit drew the support of 17 Republican state attorneys general and 126 Republican members of Congress. Republicans are accusing Attorney General William Barr of covering up investigations into Hunter Biden's business and financial dealings in foreign countries before the election.
Bill Barr was pretty clear back in May he did not want the criminal justice system in the middle of the presidential election. A key Biden surrogate praised Barr for, in his view, doing the right thing. There are various investigations looking into Hunter Biden's business and financial dealings and his taxes. There's also the president-elect's brother, Jim. Both Jim and Hunter have been accused of trading on their family name to land lucrative overseas business deals, including a deal with the Chinese energy firm.
That's Fox's Mike Emanuel. President-elect Joe Biden maintains he's never spoken to his son Hunter about his foreign business dealings and told Fox News today that he's proud of his son. Congress has agreed on a bill to keep the government running for at least another week.
A voice vote in the Senate gave final approval to a 1-week continuing resolution extending government funding through December 18th. The House approved the short-term measure earlier this week ahead of a deadline that would have triggered a government shutdown later tonight.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. President Trump has signed it. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has already reshaped how we work, and it's almost over. Businesses across the globe are challenged to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed helps you find quality candidates quickly, so you can focus on hiring the person you need to keep your business going. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need, can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. And now, Indeed's new way of matching you with candidates instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria that you can contact the moment you sponsor a job, making Indeed the only job site that can move as fast as you do. Right now, Indeed is offering a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Get started on Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
A new Fox News poll shows opinions of President Trump's 4 years in office are at best mixed.
Right now, 47% of respondents approve of the job the president is doing, but 42% of voters say President Trump will go down as one of the worst in history. If you only look at Republicans, 44% say he'll be regarded as one of the greatest to hold the office. As the president continues legal challenges of the 2020 election, 77% of Trump voters say they believe the election was stolen from the president. But 56% of all those polled say the legal fight weakens our democracy. When asked if President Trump should run again in 2024,
Shortly after having sexual intercourse with a prostitute earlier this afternoon, local man Jacob Reynolds told reporters that he never expected the experience would bring him to new heights of emotional and spiritual fulfillment.
I was convinced that having sex with a complete stranger behind my wife's back would leave me feeling drained and empty on the inside, but my self-esteem is through the roof.
Reynolds, who said he paid $150 for a 30-minute block of time, said that his moderate expectations for the encounter were instantly surpassed by what turned out to be a deeply personal sexual communion that transported him to a new plane of emotional intimacy.
I've never felt a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and it was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. We're talking about secession, one of my favorite topics, and independence for not just the state, but also the individual. But we got to start somewhere, so we'll start with the states. And one of them is going to go first. The question is, which one is going to go first? I would like it to be New Hampshire, but, you know, if it's California or Texas, I'm fine with that too, because somebody's going to be the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and so on. But what we were also talking about in just a moment ago was, you know, what do you do when you've got people coming on board? What can they do? And nobody, our co-host, was going off in a direction towards like bringing politicians up on trial and things like that. And personally, you know, I don't care about all of that. I'm not looking for vengeance in this particular case. I just want to be left alone.
Maybe all you want from him is that he surrender.
If there's enough people, the thing is, if there's enough people,
and that's enough. If he surrenders, then he's admitted it. He's not your master, and he's going to have to go home shamefaced, and nobody's going to want his job.
You're missing the fact that if you have enough people, he won't be in power anyway, right?
Yeah. We don't know that because all we know is that they rigged the elections. We don't know how much.
Well, certainly if it comes to be that we have 600,000 people and the elections are rigged and they're still in power. Well, okay.
50% of the population wants him out.
You're not anywhere
out,
near there.
Then the system must be rigged.
You're at most 10% of
you can ignore the system if you have. The point is, if you have the numbers, because it's all about numbers. That's why the Free State Project or the New Hampshire Liberty Migration is an important idea, because freedom-minded people are too spread thin across the United States and across the world. So the idea is we concentrate as many of them as we can in one geographic area so we can actually have the numbers to have an influence. And if you can actually get freedom to be popular enough to where you have half of the population, it doesn't matter if the system is rigged, because you can get those people to ignore the state. Now, I want to give you an example.
What do they do when they ignore the state? They fight back against the state.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You can just ignore them.
No, you can't, because they come with guns and they drag you away and they throw you in a cell.
Not if there's 600,000 of you.
You're wrong.
Yes, if that 600,000 won't fight back, if they stand there like pussies, they will take us one by one.
They don't have 600,000 cells.
They will take us one by one. They don't need them. They can kill us and bury us out back.
Not with 600,000
people.
people.
We're not fighting back when they take us. They will take us one by one. Even if we have every single person, and none of them will kill the one psychopath who is killing us off. If they will not respond forcefully to that one psychopath, he will kill the entire civilization.
You don't have to lower yourself to their level.
We have to fight back with violence against violence, or they will kill us one by one.
You're not wrong that it's justified to use violence, but unfortunately you're then using their tools against them.
You're using the only tool that prevents violence.
You can do
when
instead,
somebody is set on violating your rights, you must physically prevent them from doing so by any means necessary.
I totally agree with this, right? But you've already shown nobody. You yourself have shown that we don't necessarily need that. Look at what happened with the protest with pot in the square, right?
Yeah,
you guys
and
were
then they came
drugs.
and ruined my life.
They took
not
one
everybody's
person.
going to consent to having their life ruined by the state to make a point.
Right, well, hold on, but they took one person and people stood up and they went to the police station and they smoked, and they never bothered anybody after that, right? More or less.
Yeah, they came back and arrested me and threw me in prison for a year and a half. That's what they did.
You were targeted, no doubt.
Yes, and nobody stood up.
That was the FBI that targeted you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, well that was
it
the
was people who
local
didn't
cops.
have any business in New Hampshire, representatives of an illegitimate criminal organization.
And you have every right to be violent or angry. I mean, but look, you were successful at fighting off the local police. So
yeah,
it is a matter of numbers.
If I'd had enough backup, maybe I would have been successful in fighting off
and
the
feds. We're not there yet.
Someday,
we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
No, but
I'm talking about where we should go.
Right, and that's where we are going. We don't necessarily need to have the violence. We don't necessarily have to use their tactics.
If they're not killing us, then I'm not going to advise killing them.
Right.
And so let me know when they stop killing us.
I think we're all in agreement on this, actually.
Let me know when they stop killing us, because they are
I don't
killing
disagree.
us. They
I don't disagree with
are
you.
killing us by inches. They're starving us out. They're shutting down our businesses. They're taking away our right to exist, our right to operate a business, our right to have a goddamn livelihood.
But wait a minute, they're not taking
until people are willing to get up and open the window and say, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore, until they're willing to say that and mean it and make it stick. We will never win.
I'm sorry, I gotta disagree with something that you said there, and that is that it's the average person who's giving up those things. It's not that the government gang is taking them from them. It's these whiny, sad people who will just do whatever it is that they're told to do. Now, there are a few people who are outstanding who are actually standing up, and they don't have to stand up with violence in order to make a huge impact. And I'm going to give you an example before you go on this rant. Because I get the frustrations, man. We're all frustrated. That's why we moved here to New Hampshire.
Right.
But look, I'm going to give you the example of the Attilis Gym. We've talked about these guys before.
Mm-hmm.
They're in New Jersey. They're in Belmar, New Jersey. They've been a real shining light in the area of a business owner actually standing up. They are not allowing their business to be taken from them. The government gang has threatened them, and I'm going to play a video here with the co-owner of the Attilis Gym. It's actually a video where he's standing and he's holding like a stack of papers with words printed on them. So it's sort of a video that's visual, but I'm going to read the words on the paper as he's dropping them down. So first, it's him standing in his gym, and
does he have a bunch of armed people with him, I hope?
It's New Jersey, so I don't know how well armed they are, but they are in the gym, and they're strong guys. I mean, they're working out.
Okay.
So
well, I hope they've got big enough guns.
Okay. Well, we'll get to their story here because they have been standing up without the use of violence. So let's go on here. So he says, "Welcome to the Attilis Gym, Belmar. We have over $1 million in fines. We have had our business license stripped. We have had our doors locked and barricaded. We have been arrested and have over 60 citations. Today, we will pass 84,000 visits to our facility. We don't mandate masks. We never will. Governor Murphy will see this video and fine us $15,000 for it. But free men don't ask permission or for forgiveness. No science, no shutdown."
I'm going to send him $100 as soon as I get off the show.
And then the camera pans around.
Bitcoin Cash.
And the camera pans around, and you see it's a full gym. I mean, this place has a ton of people working out at it. There's somebody on almost every piece of equipment in this gym. With how many million? What does he say? $1 million in fines now because they're hitting them with like $15,000 a day, and then there's other fines on top of that. And so this is what it takes, okay, for business owners to actually stand up and actually say it is my right to earn money. In fact, here's what he says.
That's the first thing it needs, but the second thing it needs is people to stand with him and behind him.
They're all over the place.
Make it possible for his.
They are.
But the question is, where are they going to be when the state sends the thugs?
They already did. They've been arrested.
And they fight, they win.
And
if they're there and they don't fight, they lose.
So this is an issue of numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, he has a lot of support, but he doesn't necessarily, his support base doesn't necessarily have the means of keeping the cops from taking him and putting him in a cage.
Then they need to go to the gun store and buy themselves AR-15s because those are the means.
I disagree with both of you on this, okay? I think that you can do it without using guns to kill these people. You
don't necessarily have to shoot them.
I know that. I'm saying I disagree with. Hold on. I'm saying I disagree with both of you. Okay.
Okay.
You're saying they don't have the means at all. He's saying they don't have the guns.
I'm talking about the guns. I'm talking about the guns and
but
fighting
what
back
I'm trying to say is they don't have to use guns to fight back. You can stop an aggressor without the use of a gun. You can use a taser. You can use pepper spray. You can use all kinds of things.
Yes, you can die.
Not if you have enough people.
Will kill you. His army will continue their battle against you. This is a battle
There's
to
no
crush
easy answer
us.
here. There's no easy answer. 855-450 free. Like free.
Pork chops. His coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. Harold, the Border Collie pit mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before.
DINOVITE.com.
Dynovite will give them a beautiful, lustrous coat. It will make you smile.
You get some Dynovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately,
Firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bain Books at BainBooks.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or maybe you'd rather sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. You can do that by joining us on our Matrix chat server, where you can actually go and interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. It's there around the clock, 24 hours a day. There's even a channel there that you created, Chris, for Freedom Decrypted, which is correct. Your radio show that you do on Saturday afternoons. That's actually a video show primarily, but there's an audio version over at freedomdecrypted.com. And your chat room is there on our server because anybody can join the Matrix server and create a chat room for themselves and invite other people to it, and it can be private or it can be public, and call it what you want. You set whatever mods you want on that, and it's up to you. So head over to chat.lrn.fm. You can get step-by-step instructions on how to join the server and also how to call the show through that server. That way you can sound really, really good.
Do you upload your show to library?
It's a good question. There have been, I think there has been some shows and oh no, actually I think it's content that was uploaded to library, unfortunately.
So clips have been uploaded by other people?
There is a show on library. Actually, there's at least one show on library. But the problem is, I started working on having it automatically sync with library, but I never got to finishing it. So I've got content on library, and there's one show on library, recent show actually on library, but I still have never gotten around to finishing it.
Okay.
So,
well, hey, if sometime after Christmas, because I've got a deadline right now, but sometime after Christmas, think about what it would be worth for you to have that problem solved, and maybe somebody can come along and solve it for you.
So we've been talking about business owners standing up, and overall the conversation has been about secession and the United States coming to a close. But we do need people to actually stand up for their rights first, because if you can't stand up for your own business, how are you going to be able to stand up against the feds?
Absolutely.
But Ian Smith,
for your business and your neighbor who's willing to do business with you.
So Ian Smith is one of the co-founders at the Attilis Gym in Belmar, New Jersey. He's always putting up these really inspiring videos and showing how they're continuing to operate, even though they're facing $1 million in fines now from the New Jersey gang, the government gang there. And he had this to say
Which is an act of war.
Sure, no doubt about it. But again, I think that peace is the answer.
They're blockading his property. They're
and they broke down the blockades. They broke down the blockades, and they've got a full gym full of people now. So he writes this on his. This is from his Instagram profile, where he posted a video where he's just dropping these papers, and I read that earlier. But he also wrote something similarly, or a little different, as his little comment here. He says, "We have been open against unconstitutional shutdown orders since May. Not once have we flinched, and the petty tyrant of New Jersey, Governor Murphy, has tried everything he could possibly think of to ruin us. Over 7 months later, we still open our doors every single day. No government official will ever tell me that I'm not able to provide for my family. I do not answer to public servants, no matter what threats or punishments they impose. I am a free man. I do not ask for permission. I do not ask for forgiveness. You work for us. The only way you'll ever close these doors is when you close my casket," he says.
So he's willing to respond by force.
Well, that's what he says,
That's the
but
rhetoric.
so far
Whether
they
or not
haven't.
whether or not that actually happens.
No, they haven't. But the question is, what do they do when they come to take him? Does he
they got arrested
to go
already.
to prison for the rest of his life?
Well, they got arrested already. So
okay.
he hasn't been
sooner
put
or
in...
later, if he keeps fighting, they'll take him, and it will be the last time. So what does he do the last time?
The thing is,
When
you never
they
know when
mean
the
to
last
take-
time is.
Yeah.
So maybe you should fight back when you're not certain.
Maybe, but if he
Because
fought
it
back,
might
but if
be
he fought back
the
when he was getting
last
arrested,
time
but if he
they
fought back
take
when
you.
he was getting arrested, he'd be dead right now. Like you said, if you fight back, then they send the troops in.
Unless he has enough people on his side.
How many
and
does he have?
unless those people are willing to stand there next to him and to prevent the state by force, by any means necessary, from working their will upon him, which means to take his person or take his property. Until they can defend his property, until they can physically prevent the state from removing him from it, he is destined to lose this
That's right. We need
battle.
people. We need numbers.
And we need people, and we need people ready to fight.
It's and I get where you're coming from, but I think at the same time, if he's gonna fight back, if you're gonna go out there and defend yourself from the police, it's better to take the police out, not one-on-one, because you're just gonna die, but take it out more in a terrorist-ish like a manner through blowing up a police station or something.
The thing is,
because
that's
killing
not
one
how
police officer is
any
not
of
gonna make a
this
difference.
works. Because if you initiate force upon them, okay,
they're already going to kill you. If you've already got to a point where you're going to stand up and say no,
they have already issued threats,
and they're going to use violence against you because you've got a gun and you're pointing it at them, you already know you're going to die.
Well, and that is, well, first off, you're only going to die if they can bring more power to bear than you can.
Well, that's going to be the case.
Well, until it's not.
Well, okay,
because there
now
exists
I'm confused.
a number
Hold
X.
on, I'm confused. A moment ago, nobody was the one shouting into a microphone that violence is the answer. Now you're saying blow up an entire police station?
No. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm saying is, if you are ready, if you're at the point in which you're going to use violence, okay, to defend yourself,
you're saying go to the max.
You need to step it up a notch because their power is going to overwhelm yours, right? You're not going to accomplish.
Necessarily.
You're not accomplishing much if you take out one police officer, if that, before you get killed, right?
Do the math, bro. Do the math. Okay.
I am doing the math, which is why.
This is going to be a weird night. First, I make Ian look reasonable. Now I'm going to make Chris look unreasonable.
Okay.
Because the reality is that people are moved by symbolism. People are moved by both the emotional and the rational content of what you do. And unless you address that, you're only going to attract a bunch of nerds as supporters. And the reality is, if you blow up a police station, the optics are you're a bad guy.
That's war, man.
Don't you
That's
think it's
war.
going to
That
look bad
is
if you start
war,
shooting
but
cops?
It's a lot better if they are coming for you and you fight back.
No, because
at the point
I
of
see what you're saying.
arrest,
I see what you're
when they are violating your rights,
Sure.
when they are taking your
optics.
friend, that's when you stand up and
So-
you say, no more.
But
We're
can't you
not going to
stand-
let this happen again.
But why don't you just stand up and say that and do things
Yeah.
that don't involve taking bullets, shooting somebody with bullets?
Well,
I mean, you can't.
because they're going to come and kill you, and you've got to do it to them before they do it to you.
But doesn't that look bad,
they
too?
will shoot you. They will kill you. They will tear gas
They're
you.
already
They
gonna
will
kill you.
burn down the building in which you occupy. They will take your freedom, your property. They will kill your family. They will rape your wife. That's why you have to fight back.
Right, but can't you fight back
That's
with
why we fight, because they will kill us.
But why not?
They will kill us. There's
they
no
are.
answer to that. They will murder us if we don't let them dominate us. I will not be dominated. I will not be murdered.
Talk about optics.
Well, how stupid do you have to be not to understand that if they kill you before you fight back, you're dead. You lose.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying.
It comes down to strategy and planning, right? I mean, if you're going to fight back and you're gonna kill them, you might as well take out more than one.
Is he going to walk out of the show every Friday night now?
I don't know.
He just walked out again.
Yeah.
It was the same time last
was-
week. It was 9:30.
It's
flips out.
It's entertaining, but I'm a little concerned for him.
Yeah, I just don't think that violence is the answer, and it's not.
No,
it's not gonna get you where you want to go. More coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
No, Ian's the evil twin from the Dark Universe.
And Chris.
Yes, indeed. All right. So there's actually an interesting story we're not going to get into, but just as a headline, at a website called The Federalist, which, sounds like a kind of a right-wing thing. I don't know, but it's...
federalism is the idea that each state should take care of its own affairs and keep its nose out of the business of other affairs. It's the agreement upon which the Constitution was entered into, and it is what they have violated to force us out because they're no longer keeping up their end of the bargain.
There's an opinion piece there at The Federalist written a couple days ago by John Daniel Davidson entitled, "It's Time for Mass Civil Disobedience Against Lawless Lockdown Orders." And the thing is, if you've got enough civil disobedience, if you've got enough people, you can basically make the government leave you alone because there's nothing they can do.
Drag you off to prison camps and you don't fight back. Because then they can just drag you off to their prison camps one by one, and then they can gas you, for example. Or they could do something much easier. If they're doing mandatory vaccinations, once they've got you in custody, they can shoot you up with whatever you want. Yeah. And if there's a death sentence in there from the deep state or the CIA or the FBI or the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, if any one of those people has decided that they would be happier if you were dead, then all they have to do is collude with the prison system to get that into your vaccine. So it's a very real possibility that your next arrest is going to be your last arrest.
Could very well be.
Yeah, there's always a risk of it. There certainly was no shortage of people dying in Manchester here.
And that's what the Chinese basically did is they used the real mild epidemic to justify a mass arrest of their dissidents.
By the way, I do want to say thanks to Bitcoin.com for being a longtime sponsor here on Free Talk Live. If you want to learn about cryptocurrency, and you really ought to, a great place to go is Bitcoin.com. They will get you taken care of. There's an introductory section. It's called Get Started. Just click on that at the top of the page, and then you can learn as much or as little as you like. You can just watch one video and be done with it, or you can watch and read through a variety of different things about how cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash work, what makes them special, what makes them different, what makes them evolutionary when it comes to money. Bitcoin.com will help you understand that. So again, just click on Get Started there at the top of Bitcoin.com. Now, if you're not new to crypto, you can get the latest news headlines over at news.bitcoin.com. Let's bring Scott on the line in Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Scott.
Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Scott. Go ahead.
I couldn't agree with you more. I really couldn't agree. I am so disturbed and angered, and also I have to be frightened by the excesses of our government. I don't think people realize how evil the United States government is. And I couldn't agree with you more about mass civil disobedience. Only in numbers, strength in numbers is true. They're going to remove these measures. I don't know where this is going to end, but I'll tell you one thing. It's not going to end well. I'm really hoping every day that there'll be a revolution in this country. But what scares the hell out of me,
don't hope for it, work for it,
is if the government decides to declare, all right, we're not going to put up with civil disorder. We're going to enact martial law, and they bring out the tanks and they bring out the armored cars and they do what they do in these Latin American countries, Venezuela or Argentina, with their juntas, and they crack down and thousands of people disappear, murdered in the streets.
Then the question is, does the militia stand up or not?
It depends on the government, which side they're on. If they side with the people, the people will survive. If they side with the government, the people are all done.
The militia is the people. The militia is composed of every able-bodied citizen from 17 to 75. That's you and me, sir, with guns in the street, ready to fight. Are you there yet?
Yes, I'm here. But
then come to New Hampshire.
No, you don't want this one in New Hampshire. This is Scott the Bigot. He should stay right where he is.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was talking to Scott the Bigot. Never mind. You belong
He's in Florida.
Slightly different.
He's in Florida.
Florida might be a good place for him to set up shop. He might be able to, I mean, if you want to be a white separatist, that's not my problem. Go and have a very small world to live in, and the rest of us will share what's left. I'm down.
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. Is America, and then I'll let, when 80 million people, 90 million are unemployed, the new year hasn't come yet, the evictions start pouring in, people are setting up, millions of people are in tents, they have their dollar
displaced by the COVID scam. Their suffering was intense.
Don't you think that there'll be a massive revolution in this country, and there would be that the U.S. government would be overthrown if enough people are outraged?
Only if they're outraged and armed. Otherwise, they'll be systematically killed and buried in mass graves.
Yeah, we don't have even with a outraged populace and a populace that will take up arms. I mean, you have to remember that the military is so much more powerful and sophisticated with a much smaller number of people than the probably the number that you're going to be able to get. But
let me tell you the biggest two reasons that you're wrong in saying that.
Yep.
The first is population. The military and the police combined have 1.5 million people. We have 300 million Americans. That's 200 Americans for every man in the army. That's what the population is. So if the
but they're not going to resist
100%.
First of all,
united,
you gotta
it's not going to be 100% united. Even in the revolution, it was only a fraction.
If it's 50% united, then it's 100.
They didn't even have that in the revolution.
Probably win.
You've got loyalists, you've got the loyalists, you've got the people who are the revolutionaries, and then you've got the people who just they don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
Right.
The reality is you're going to have a minority of people who are willing to take up arms and participate.
I'm giving you a scale. I'm showing you that, first off, when you reach 100% agreement...
You won't.
Okay.
So forget about that part.
It doesn't matter. The point is a mathematical model.
But it's not realistic.
If you hit...
You cannot.
If you hit 100%, you are 100% assured of success. Therefore,
impossible to hit that.
It is mathematically proven that there exists between 0 and 100 a number at which you go to war and you win.
That's true.
And that number exists, and that's the number we have to shoot for.
There's an economical advantage.
You could probably win with 10%.
Potentially with
We could win with more than that if 20% of the military stands down because they don't agree with the government.
Maybe.
And a smaller number if 50% of the military stands down. That's likely.
Gentlemen?
And then there's a possibility that military units will break off and fight against each other as they will take different sides.
I hope so.
That neutralizes them because they are equal to
Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, this is what I'd like to say. the only thing the American people really have to save them is if this depression gets as bad as I think it will be, this government will collapse upon its own weight, because I don't care armed forces or not. When the dollar becomes worthless, when there's tremendous food shortages, and also our population can take up guerrilla positions. In other words, if the people become so outraged, can destroy power systems, knock out the grid. They can do a lot of. The U.S. government does not necessarily have to have the upper hand, and ultimately the U.S. government is going to lose the moral ground when the people learn that their government doesn't give a damn about them, which they don't. But where's the stimulus checks, gentlemen?
Oh, don't worry. They're going to come out with another check. That's an inevitability.
If you know your government is going to fall, then shorting its government is like shorting a stock. You win when the value of the dollar goes to zero.
Thank you,
Sell
Scott,
your
for the
dollars,
call
ladies
tonight. I
and
appreciate
gentlemen.
it. Yep, I appreciate that. There's more coming up here at 8:55, 450 free, like Free Talk Live. We got a chance for you to get in here in just a moment.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
It's not over. Sadly, our nation is going through tough times again, with no end in sight, and nobody knows what might happen next year. That's why it's a good idea to plan ahead, so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We're My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. We provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, our foods will be there when you need it most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. We have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from. When the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. When you order from MyPatriotSupply.com, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep in no time. Prepare today. Time is short. MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice.
Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio, Ian, Nobody, and Chris. Don't forget to check out Chris on his show, Freedom Decrypted. You can find it over at freedomdecrypted.com. It is a liberty-oriented tech show once a week. Check him out, and that's freedomdecrypted.com. You had some really good stories tonight, by the way.
Oh, I did.
I suspect some of them are going to end up on your show tomorrow.
I guarantee some of them will be on the show tomorrow.
The Twitch copyright piece, which was sounded pretty interesting. They're cracking down on copyrighted works there on Twitch. BTCE, the founder there, sentenced, and if we get the chance, we might get to the Pornhub story here tonight. But we actually just found out, like literally moments ago, that His Excellency here in New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, has issued another executive order number 76 of, 2020.
I can see why the Democrats love him.
And we'll tell you more about that if we get the chance. We're still kind of trying to figure it out. We literally just discovered this during the last break. But let's go first to your calls and thoughts. Adam is in Wisconsin. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I just want to talk about some police stuff that they did to me.
Okay, what happened?
It was a domestic thing with me and my girlfriend 10 years ago. I've been with her for 10 years, and we got into a domestic fight, and then I left for a while, came back 6 hours later. We fought again. My brother called the cops on me, and then cops were outside, came in, and I went out there, and they handcuffed me and stuff. But then when they were pushing me out, I just wanted to see my kids and stuff before I left, and they were saying no. And they bent my arm back, hurt me. And then when they bent my arm back, I grabbed their hand and they fucking shut
Oh
me
my
down.
God, you can't say that on the radio, so I don't know what you were going to say, but we have to drop your call. You are on broadcast radio when you call Free Talk Live, and it's too bad because it sounded like an abusive story in that case.
When you're drunk and you've just gotten into a physical argument with your wife, that's the wrong time to stand up. But
Yes.
there are much better times to do it
Yeah.
than that, like when they're trying to shut down your business because you won't require people to wear masks.
All right, so let's see if we can figure out what just happened here. So on one hand, you've got this guy, Sununu. He is the so-called governor here in New Hampshire that many of us have protested out in front of his house over the last few weeks over the mask mandates. And one of the things he said recently was that he's not in favor of mandating the vaccine. But now he passes, because again, when a politician's lips are moving, you should know that they're lying.
Oh, yeah.
Now he has passed a new executive order, like I guess it was tonight, because this is breaking news here, that says that all healthcare providers shall be required to participate. Those that are administering the COVID-19 vaccine shall be required to participate in the New Hampshire Immunization Information System, or the NHIIS. They will be required to report all COVID-19 vaccination events to the NHIIS within 24 hours of the administration. And then they say, for the purposes of patient reporting of COVID-19 vaccination events, the provisions of a certain RSA, which is the statutes here in New Hampshire, shall be suspended for the duration of the state of emergency. So when you go and you pull up the RSA in question,
it's your secrecy rights, right?
In this case, they are suspending the following paragraphs of the Immunization Registry RSA. So these paragraphs I'm going to read you are being suspended by this executive order. No patient or the patient's parent or guardian, if the patient is a minor, shall be required to participate in the immunization registry. Meaning that if you normally you would have the if you're in a getting
the only way you participate into the registry is getting the shot. So that's their sneaky way of saying they can stick that needle in your arm whether you like it or not.
They're not quite saying that yet. They're not quite saying
That's
that
not
yet.
what I'm hearing.
What they're saying, nobody, is that if you get the vaccines, you get a vaccine for COVID-19. What they're saying is that you have to they have to report you.
Yeah.
They have to put you in this database.
Yeah.
Number
that's
3.
like saying that you have to have your car inspected, which it said in New Hampshire law. And so they said, well, I did get my car inspected. It just failed in court. Well, that argument didn't work. So if you have to participate in the registry, and the only way to participate in the registry to be registered as having a shot is to have that shot, then you can be required to take that shot.
But there's nothing requiring
which means
it in
that
that
they can
ticket.
come
Not yet.
and force it into your arm. And
that's
then
probably
the
what they're going to do, but
question is, because
they're not there
at
yet.
that
That's
point,
not this
they
order,
can
though.
kill you.
Yeah, that's not what they're
That's
at.
not
They're
this
not at that
order.
point yet.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, so what
look,
they're
this isn't good, but this isn't that.
Yeah.
I think they're lying.
They're definitely lying.
They're
but
laying the ground.
Sure.
for
Oh, they're
that.
laying the ground, no
Maybe.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
But what they're saying right now is that you can't opt out of being in the registry if you get the shot. They're not saying the shots will be mandatory, but
In New Hampshire.
going so far.
Yeah.
So the other thing they're suspending is paragraph 3 here of this RSA, which says physicians, nurses, and other healthcare providers may report an immunization to the registry unless the patient or the patient's guardian refuses to allow reporting of this information. So again, if somebody goes to get this COVID-19 vaccine and they say, do not report my information, they're going to be mandated to report that information. Basically is what this is saying so far.
Of a minor.
Of a minor or an individual. Anyone.
Right.
No one is able to
because
opt out of the
this
reporting.
was an exception for minors at this point, and
No,
now
this
they're
is an exception for
suspending
everybody. The statute here includes minors, and it also includes everybody else.
Oh, so everybody had the right to say, I don't want my information
Correct.
in the
Previously, in any
Okay.
immunization registry, but not now. Now
Okay.
they're saying everybody that gets the COVID-19 vaccine will be reported into the centralized database, which will likely be shared with the federal government and who knows who
probably.
else, right? So, and then they're also suspending paragraph 9, which says that nothing in the section shall preclude the right of the patient or the patient's parent or guardian, if the patient is a minor, to claim exemption from immunization. Nor shall anything in this section require such a patient to be included in the registry if the patient or the patient's parent or guardian, it gets so hard to read.
That is
but
all
that's your one.
backwards because that's what they're taking out.
Right, that's what they're taking out. So yeah, it does say here that they're taking out your right to claim exemption from the immunization.
Yes,
it does say that.
They're claiming
Wait a
their
minute.
right to come and
So
vaccinate
there was a prior
you by
order.
force.
So there was a prior order that mandated the vaccine.
No,
There
that
has
has not
always
happened.
been a human
So how
right to
can-
refuse
how
any
can-
unwanted medical treatment that was found by the Nuremberg Convention.
Right.
It is a war crime to
What they're
impose
what they're
medical-
doing is they've passed.
I want to
they've
know what this
passed-
is doing. Nobody, not,
Okay,
not what
so
happened
this is
before it
taking
passed.
away your rights.
Hold on. What
I know
the order does is it says there must be a centralized database called the New Hampshire Immunization Information System, and that everyone who gets
Right.
the vaccine must be reported into that thing.
Right.
They are taking away
who
people's
gets the
ability.
vaccine?
Right. They're taking away people's ability to opt out.
Okay.
And it does say here that they're taking out the ability of the patient or their guardians to opt to exempt from immunization. So they're striking the exemptions that anyone would say, I'm exempt from immunization. So if they try to force it on you, they've now taken
The only
away.
thing that would make sense if it's not being mandated is
It is being mandated. Catch up.
That's what I'm
Not
trying to
yet.
understand.
Not yet.
Well,
they're laying the
taking
groundwork.
away your right to
They're-
refuse.
They're laying
That's
right.
mandated.
Right. They're laying the groundwork, but they haven't issued the mandate yet.
Right. If
That's
they
what they're
haven't
doing.
obligated you to take the vaccine in the first place, then how can you be exempted from anything other than not having the information submitted in the first place?
Ask me that one more time. Sorry.
It only would make sense to be exempted from immunization if they were mandated the immunization, but if they're not, then the information.
Right.
What they're doing right now is they're
your exemption is a way of claiming their right to force you.
What they're doing is they're striking your ability to legally, right? They're taking the legal exemption away from immunizations. They're not yet passing the order that says the vaccine is mandatory. But when they pass that order, they will have already removed from this in this
exemption.
order, any exemptions from getting that mandate. So they're laying the groundwork
They're
for a
getting
mandatory.
ready to force it on
Okay.
us. So the question
That'll
is,
be
do we
interesting.
fight back or do we take it?
Fight
Are you
back.
going to get immunized or
No,
killed?
of course not.
The rest of the paragraph, again, this is the paragraph.
Live free or die. Death is not the worst of evil.
This is the paragraph they're striking from the existing statute. The rest of it says, so again, nor shall anything in this section require the patient to be included in the registry. So again, now they are requiring the patients to be included in the registry. If the patient is a minor, objects thereto on any grounds, including but not limited to that the registry conflicts with their religious beliefs, or that the patient's parent or guardian is the patient is a minor. So you won't have a religious exemption when they're trying to force this on people.
Theoretically, they can't force it on you. It's or I
Oh,
guess
they can.
Theoretically, they
Hold
can
on,
do
hold on,
whatever
hold on,
they
hold
do
on.
until
can
you
sue,
fight back.
You can sue them over unconstitutional grounds.
Sure, but by that time they've already kidnapped you and put a needle in your arm.
Yep. So this is it. It's
Possibly,
coming
but
down
if
to the
you
fight.
sue them before they take and put that needle in your arm, the court should theoretically be able to
preemptive lawsuit?
preemptively suspend, their order.
Good luck, man. We haven't even gotten our court case heard. I mean, we haven't even.
I mean, I get that, but it's.
I don't think the courts are going to save
We
you,
need
dude.
Johnny Cochran.
Well,
Yeah, we're out of time for tonight.
I
You can
don't have
join
much
us
faith in
tomorrow
the
night
court either, but-
online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have two cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com.
I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Sal Giangrasso. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a Texas lawsuit backed by President Trump to overturn Joe Biden's election victory.
What it means here for Texas is that they don't get to move forward. This case is done. You don't have enough. You would have needed 5 justices to move this thing forward. So Texas's last-ditch effort to go after those 4 states and nullify, which essentially would have been, I think, about 39 million votes of other people in those 4 other states. It's not going to happen. The states had all said Texas has no right to do it. And for now, the Supreme Court says this is the end.
That's Fox's Shannon Bream. But in Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court agrees to hear arguments over the weekend on President Trump's state lawsuit seeking to disqualify more than 221,000 ballots and overturn his loss in that battleground state. The court's decision today to hear arguments tomorrow came hours after a lower court judge ruled against Trump. The president signed a week-long government-wide funding bill into law, averting a federal shutdown at midnight, and buying Congress time for on-again, off-again talks on COVID-19. Still waiting for the FDA to give the okay on Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine.
Canada and the UK have already given their approval to this, and Pfizer has already worked to produce millions of doses so that it could be distributed within hours of the approval. A member of the FDA Advisory Committee, which met on Thursday to give its blessing, says relief is in sight. And there is, of course, such good news with this vaccine because it appears to have a 95% efficacy rate, but it will require 2 doses.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith. President-elect Joe Biden heard expressing support for his son Hunter about a federal investigation over Hunter's taxes and overseas business dealings.
Did Hunter Biden commit a crime? Have you spoken to your son, Mr. President-elect? From my son.
He was asked by Fox's Peter Ducey. America is listening to Fox News.
Life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. 2020 has challenged even the most difficult times of life. These days, you need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes. That's Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So, however today's news hits you, Headspace really can help you feel better. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, Headspace has 600,000 five-star reviews and over 60 million downloads. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Fox. That's headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/Fox today.
The Senate overwhelmingly approves an annual defense bill defying a veto threat from President Trump.
The Republican-led Senate has signed off on the National Defense Authorization Act.
The yeas are 84, the nays are 13.
A margin that would be large enough to override a presidential veto. The Democratic-led House approved the NDAA earlier this week, also with a supermajority tally. President Trump has threatened to veto the $740 billion bill over provisions on troop patrols and requiring the Pentagon to begin changing the names of facilities honoring Confederate figures. The president has also insisted on adding a repeal of a liability shield for social media firms, something congressional leaders say does not belong as part.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
In this week's Onion Tips section, 5 easy ways to adapt your deplorable and parasitic existence for the upcoming Armageddon. Tip 1. Focus on preparing your home for any number of disaster situations, which still probably won't take your mind off of your impending death or the myriad mistakes you made in your short, pitiful life. Tip 2. Make sure your linens are clean prior to the upcoming catastrophe, as these are likely the very same sheets on which you will soon be slowly asphyxiated. Tip 3. Take some time off work and spend your last days free from the bonds of the oppressive machine that was just about the only thing giving you a purpose to your otherwise insignificant days. Tip 4. Spend your final waking minutes before the end of the world with your family, knowing full well you'd rather be doing a number of other gratifying yet completely depraved things. Right, sicko? In other news, a smitten foot fetishist thinks these may be the two. A woman and her gay best friend go on another one of their little adventures, and a dead daughter would have wanted a $220 million liability settlement.
This is the Onion News Network.
Gorilla
of Star Wars weapon systems, controlling my thoughts plus several pistols. The good shepherd listens, exercising mental fitness. Illuminati enterprises with relentless interest, with our ear to the street. Conspiracy left a witness, death and sickness stretch across the wilderness. Etched in the scriptures, molested temperatures, whisper pleasures of sex with incestuous sisters. Our terrorism influenced decisions, intercepted children. Timothy McVeigh, federal buildings, the all-seeing eye, nuclear winter, bleeding sky, talking to God, screaming wild with tears in your eyes. Fall on your blade like a samurai, betrayal of his family ties. Agonized, violence amplifies, bystanders die. No reason, tattooed tears, chrome Jesus, iced out Moses, and platinum pyramids of Giza, seeking out your reinvention within the species of deception. Resemble humans, but small from reptilian conception. Digital Muhammad, critical atomic, pinnacle embalming, cynical Islamic, symphonic, microchip patronic, chips ahoy, cyborgs are built to destroy. Murder world, I'm like arcade with $1 billion in coins. Better than I'm like Bilderberg. Pull away the curtain and reveal the word. Throw you in the dirt, split the word. I hit you with Star Wars heaters. Helicopter hit your 4-seater. Ill builder, cult leader, poor feeder.
Step into the mind of Jesus. Aramaic teachers look through the eyes of Osiris. She ain't wanted in the precincts. Shipped to the depths of hell with handcuffs on my wrist. The evil eye above the pyramids. The terrorist ice pick. Venomous vaccines injected into your bloodstream. The resurrection of John Gotti with bulletproof wings. When them angels sing, it's not just another thug's dream. It's the beloved Pope painted with that infrared beam. Pay homage to the holy gladiator, hood savior. Duct tape to the face of heartless dictators. Hollow tips in the chamber send traitors to they maker, the eraser. Vengeance on my mind like Darth Vader. And this foul false prophets lead you to the slaughterhouse. With a smile on their face, poison poured their mouth. Got caught in the crossfire between angels and demons. So I'm fed for that war, the hell that haunt my being. Fighting all I sin, all I'm seeing is crime and poverty. The devil's hands in everything, from politics to religion. The glitch in the system is they can't blindfold my vision. Keep my eyes open and listen. Believe in half of what I see and even less than I'm hearing. The truth's been carved on the walls of ancient pyramids. The secret government responsible for killing, so it's fucked up. They got you thinking Cooper's the villain.
Oh man, I can't help but use that song. I don't know what it is about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Questioning Authority tonight. And yeah, that was if you couldn't tell based off of the expression on my face, that was mostly vodka in that cup. It's like 45% vodka, 55% vanilla eggnog. But the thing is, it's vanilla vodka, so it's pretty well disguised. And I always have to tell this story from my youth. I think it must have been high school, and so we had this and it's my belief that most guidance counselors at public school, hell even private schools, right, are creeps or weirdos in one way or another. That was my experience. And this guy was not an exception to that, and he had this very thick Boston accent, and he would talk to us about I don't know, like morality and stuff, but it was just in such this statist, ham-fisted way that most of us just turned off our brains. But one thing I remember what he said, and it was just so absurd, I haven't forgotten it. And he said that alcohol companies want to make money from school children, right? So from underage people, right? Which is why they make flavored drinks like here. This is some Smirnoff vanilla vodka. So they make flavored drinks with the goal of having children buying them somehow, right? Somehow a kid's gonna walk into a liquor store and come out with, a fucking bottle of, flavored vodka. And he says the reason why they make it flavored, not just to, attract children, but it's for the smell too. Because he said, what's the first thing? And I wasn't prepared to do an accent today. He's like, what's the first thing that you notice when you open a bottle of alcohol? And it's I don't know what. It's like you have the smell, right? When you guzzle it down, you smell it because alcohol evaporates fast, or something that was just so fucking utterly ridiculous. But yeah, so I just had to tell that story. Speaking of anyways, what's going on, everyone? Speaking of ridiculous, check this out. I just saw this was actually tweeted out by Adam Green, which is good. You're being played. And it's Jesus with his hands on Trump's shoulders, right? And for that here, this was Steve Pachenik retweets this person here saying, when this storm has swept by, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous stand firm forever. Pray for our country, Lord. Heal our land. God bless Donald Trump and the First Lady. Hashtag Trump landslide 2020. Red tsunami. Jesus is king. Be best. Hashtag God wins and everything. Focus on me, not the storm, which is true. I mean, yeah, focus on Jesus, not QAnon storm. But I want to talk, because I brought up during the previous show, people like, what was it? The Jim Baker show, right? And so I just have to play this. This is what I was actually not this clip, but this clip is what. Actually, yeah, hold on. This is the clip I was talking about.
In the Jewish Zohar, 700 years ago in medieval Aramaic, Orthodox Jews speculated about when will the Messiah be on the earth, right? And in the Vieira section of the Zohar,
so this is from 2016.
They said he will arrive on earth in the year 57. He will make himself known in the year 5773, which was 2012 to 2013. Oddly enough, Trump goes to Israel in 2012, decides not to run for U.S. president, meets with heads of states, comes out of that. You can watch the YouTube on television, and he starts talking to the Jewish people, telling them to vote for Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party, which they did, right?
And then Netanyahu totally stabbed Trump in the back.
But what the Zohar said was, he will be identified. From that day and forward, there have been at least a dozen Jewish rabbis that have said, the Messiah is on earth now. He's been identified. He is soon going to make himself known. Well, some key things have to happen for the messianic figure in the Jewish mindset. For the Messiah to arrive, you can't think of him like we think of Messiah. We think of Messiah after the model of Jesus. He's the Son of God, divine birth, all of that. That's not the way the Jews look at the Messiah.
No, Jesus is the Messiah, right? He's like, I don't know, and that's the thing. These are alleged Christians, right? These are evangelical Zionist Christians, yet they put a bunch of importance on like the Talmud and the Zohar and Kabbalah, even though it's totally antithetical to Christianity. It's ridiculous.
They're looking for a king. They're looking for a political leader. As a matter of fact, Messiah to them means the anointed one, and it goes back to the ancient days when they would anoint a king and recognize him as this is the man that God sent. And what they're looking for is several things. First of all, they're looking for somebody in a political figure who can lead decisive battles in defense of Israel. This is why the only politician on the face of the earth that was standing up and saying, if I'm elected president, I'm going to be the biggest friend that Israel's ever had. Yeah. We're going to undo the Iran deal, blah, 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 right? Yeah. And being a friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. Secondly, they're looking for, when the Messiah comes, there will be an ingathering of Jews from around the world back into the Holy Land. That's why the rabbis, on the eve of his election, went on television and said, we need to call now Jews from around the world, come back to Jerusalem because the Messiah is here, right?
Yes.
And so I played in, anyway, so then he goes on and on with all these examples. Hold on.
It's another thing. Thirdly, they talk about when he arrives, he is going to reinstitute the temple service. So what was the second thing they did? They called on Trump and Putin to use their power to rebuild the temple and to reinstitute the temple service. I'm not saying that they think he is the Messiah. What I actually think is that most of the rabbis there think he's John the Baptist and the Messiah is about to appear. He's the forerunner. He's the guy that's going to start the message in the wilderness, and the Messiah is going to come in on his heels. And so we need the temple service. We need to get back into Israel. The Messiah. Now, why are they saying that? They have identified somebody. I mean, there could be a few rabbis there that think he's the Messiah. The other third key is he has to be of the Davidic dynasty. He has to be of the Davidic bloodline, and there is an effort right now to go back through the European monarchy, cousins of President Donald Trump, to show that his bloodline goes back to the Davidic dynasty.
This like, what the fuck? And my dad didn't believe me because I asked him. I said, so before the show, I say, have you ever heard of a guy named Jim Baker? And he said, yeah, is he even alive? I said, oh, yeah. And I told him about this shit. And my dad was, a Irish Catholic.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are
having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around